Chapter 51-57 came from Xue Wuji's sympathy. Yun Chujiu glared fiercely at Xue Wuji. Who are you calling a heartless woman? You're clearly the one who bullied Chi-Chi, okay? Xue Wuji smiled and said, yes. It's all my fault. How are the mother and son? At this point, Yun Chujiu did not hide anything. She told him everything about her background and Yun Qi. Xue Wuji opened his mouth and widened his eyes. For a moment, he was a little confused. No wonder when he first saw the unfaithful woman, he felt that she was dressed very strangely. It turned out to be like this. Xue Wuji asked a lot of questions about Yun Qi, and his expression became a little disappointed. He said faintly, "Little Sister Jiu, I feel that the unfaithful woman doesn't care about me at all. I'm just a tool for her to give birth to Rui heir." Yun Chujiu looked at his depressed look and felt both angry and amused. She snorted and said, "Brother Wuji, even if you were drugged back then, Chi-Chi was a real victim. So, what right do you have to ask Chi-Chi to have feelings for you? It's already good enough that she didn't kill you. But, she was clearly the one who raped me later, and more than once." Xue Wuji realized that he had gone bald. He quickly covered his mouth, wishing that he could find a hole to hide in. Although Yun Chujiu had heard Yun Qi say that she had raped Xue Wuji, she could not help but laugh when she saw how Xue Wuji looked like a little boy. Xue Wuji was embarrassed and angry. He gritted his teeth in anger. "Little Sister Jiu, if you laugh again, I'll leave." Seeing that Xue Wuji was really anxious, Yun Chujiu held back her laughter with great difficulty and said, "Brother Wuji, I was wrong. I shouldn't laugh at you. Don't worry, I'll help you. Since Chi-Chi has slept with you several times, at least she's satisfied with your appearance." Xue Wuji could not help but feel sad. He was the young master of Wuji, but he had to rely on his beauty to keep a woman. How pathetic. Yun Chujiu could not help but laugh a few more times before she said, "Chi-Chi has a cold personality. To be able to mention you to me means that you have a certain place in her heart. So I believe that as long as Brother Wuji is true to Chi-Chi, she will accept you." Hearing her words, Xue Wuji felt a little better. No matter what, with little Sister Jiu's help, it was always a good thing. Moreover, this matter could finally be exposed, so he didn't have to hide it all the time. "Sorry for the inconvenience." "Thank you very much." The two chatted for a while, and then they talked about Rui heir. Yun Chujiu said with a smile, "Brother Wuji, from now on, we will be in-laws." Xue Wuji said with a smile, "Of course it's a good thing. But, when will you and that facial paralysis give birth to a daughter? Don't let my son stay single forever." At this point, Xue Wuji asked mysteriously, "Oh right, you and that facial paralysis should have been together for several years. Why hasn't there been any movement?" Xue Wuji and the others did not know that Yun Chujiu did not come to Kueishui. Therefore, they thought that Yun Chujiu and Di Baiming had already slept together. After all, the two of them had many opportunities to be alone, and they lived in the same room. No matter what, Yun Chujiu was still a girl, so she did not want to explain the matter of Kueishui to Xue Wuji, so she said perfunctorily, "Don't worry, what will come will come." Xue Wuji saw that Yun Chujiu was a little hesitant when she spoke, and he could not help but think of how Yun Chujiu said that Di Baiming was short in time and poor in skill before, so he said with sympathy, "Little Sister Jiu, I know, you really have a tough life. But don't be discouraged, see more famous doctors and you will find a way." Chapter 51-58 really made people sigh. Yun Chujiu was stunned. She wondered how Wu Ji knew about Kueishui. Could it be that the gigolo told him about it? However, she did not think too much about it and nodded. "Yes, I will think of a way, but I'm afraid there won't be a way for a while." Hearing her words, Xue Wuji was even more certain of his guess. He thought to himself, "It's good that he has facial paralysis, but I didn't expect that. No, it really makes people sigh." When this fellow thought about how he was forced to sleep with Rui heir, he suddenly felt a strange sense of pride. This fellow felt that something was wrong, so he consoled her dryly, "Little sister Jo, there will always be a way." Yun Chuzhou was about to speak when Di Baiming walked out of the bedroom with an unfriendly expression. He was at a critical juncture in his cultivation, so he did not come out. A certain someone glanced at Xue Wuji. "Why are you here?" Xue Wuji saw that Di Baiming's expression was not very good, so he thought that he had heard the conversation between him and Yun Chuzhou. He said with sympathy on his face, "Don't worry, I won't tell anyone about this. Even Enfeng won't tell anyone." Di Baiming was stunned. "What is it?" Xue Wuji thought that Di Baiming was trying to cover it up, so he sighed. "Although face is important, the happiness of you and little sister Jo is more important. You'd better find a doctor to take a look, don't delay it." Di Baiming frowned. Was this idiot referring to his transformation? Therefore, he snorted, "I know what to do, there's no need to say more." Xue Wuji curled his lips. He really wanted to lose face and suffer. Forget it. If there was a chance in the future, he would help this facial paralysis find some famous doctors to take a look. Di Baiming glanced at him and said, "You go out first. I'll talk to her for a while." After Xue Wuji tactfully went out, only Di Baiming and Yun Chuzhou were left in the room. "Sorry for the inconvenience." "Thank you very much." Although Di Baiming had recovered some scattered memories, not all of them were recovered. However, this did not prevent his heart from being restless. He vaguely remembered that every time they parted, the two of them would kiss each other goodbye. That was why Xue Wuji was sent out. Yun Chuzhou knew that Di Baiming was about to leave. Although she was reluctant, she also knew that this was something that could not be helped. Therefore, she pretended to be relaxed and said, "Prince Charming, you can do whatever you want. Currently, I don't have any trouble in the Lan family. You don't have to worry about me." Seeing that Di Baiming did not speak, she said, "It's not like you don't know me. Although my spiritual power is not that great, I have a brain. Therefore, you don't have to miss me at all. I will take care of myself. On the other hand, don't force yourself if you have something to say. Your matters are my matters. You must tell me." Di Baiming looked at Yun Chuzhou's red lips that were moving. He could not describe the frustration in his heart. He thought to himself, this ugly girl always teased him and said that she wanted to kiss him. Why did she keep kissing him when it was time to do so? Yun Chuzhou saw Di Baiming's absent-minded look and pouted. "Did you hear what I said?" Di Baiming saw Yun Chuzhou's pouting lips and felt even more frustrated. He lightly acknowledged. Yun Chuzhou saw the situation and glared at him. "Do you only know how to acknowledge? Don't you know how to say anything else? You have lost your memory, not a mute. I worked so hard to take care of you, but I didn't expect you to be such an ingrate." A certain someone finally kissed the red lips that he had been longing for. Suddenly, his heart bloomed with flowers and was filled with spring. Chapter 51-59. After lingering for a long time, Di Baiming released He Xinjiu with a satisfied look on his face. He Xinjiu was both embarrassed and angry. She said hatefully, "You pervert. Didn't you lose your memory? Why didn't you forget about this?" A certain venerate said with a straight face, "I'm just trying to see if I can force out the cold poison." Yun Chuzhou, although a certain someone said it confidently, he felt a little guilty. He coughed dryly, "I'll leave Enfeng here to protect you. Be careful." Yun Chuzhou quickly rejected, "No need, let him follow you. It's more convenient for me to be alone. Besides, the Lan family won't do anything to me now. It's a waste for Enfeng to stay here." In the end, Di Baiming still could not persuade Yun Chuzhou, so he could only say, "Then you have to be careful. Don't try to be brave, don't play tricks, don't take risks, don't." Yun Chuzhou looked at a certain someone who was chattering non-stop, and she was speechless. "Prince Charming, are you in love with me? Is that why you can't bear to leave?" A certain someone's words suddenly stopped. He paused for a moment and then said, "You're thinking too much. I'm just saying it casually." Yun Chuzhou knew that this person was at Sundra, and she was too lazy to expose him. She said, since that's the case, you'd better leave quickly. Otherwise, if the divine devil Hall finds out about your news, things will not be good. Di Biming nodded when he heard that. All right, then this venerable one will leave now. Although he said that, he did not move. Yun Shujiao looked at him speechlessly. She could only open the door and take the lead to walk out. A certain someone pursed his lips and followed her out. With a cold face, he said to Yun Shujiao, you have to remember that you have a fiancé. When you have nothing to do, look at the 3 followers and 4 virtues and see what a husband's gang is. Yun Shujiao glanced at him and said with a chuckle, Prince Charming, I only know what a wife's gang is. What is a husband's gang? Can it be eaten? A certain someone who failed to act pretentiously, Xue Wuji burst out laughing. He thought to himself, this guy is not good at facial paralysis, yet he still has the nerve to talk about the husband class? What a big heart. Di Biming glanced at Xue Wuji coldly, then took him and Enfeng away. Before leaving, he said to Yun Shujiao, take care of yourself. Yun Shujiao curled her lips. This tsundere. After Di Biming left, He Xinjiao felt a little empty. Although she was a silver snake before, with him by her side, she felt much more at ease. Fortunately, this guy was a big-hearted person. After a few days, he adjusted himself. During this period of time, this guy went to Mount Meru and was struck by lightning. Wu Yun who came was a little newbie. Not only did he not kill He Xinjiao, he even let her catch a cloud wing. Ever since the lightning incident, Hun Dun had been very obedient. Oh God, this was a pervert. In some aspects, she was even more perverted than her previous life. She actually dared to rob Wu Yun. If word got out, it would scare people to death. On this day, Yun Shujiao was cultivating when the Lan family's patriarch called her over. Yun Shujiao went to the Lan family's patriarch's study eagerly. Before she entered, she shouted, Patriarch, little Jiao has come to pay her respects to you. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. The corner of the Lan family's old ancestor's eyes twitched. This little girl was always full of vigor and vitality, which was rare. After Yun Shujiao entered the study room, she bowed and said with a smile, Old ancestor, why are you looking for me? Are you going to reward me with something good? You don't have to reward me with anything too valuable. I see that your flying spirit weapon made by the Qing family in the Valley of Fog is not bad, so give it to me. Chapter 5160 went to the Zen sect again. The ancestor of the Lan family glared at her. I have something important to tell you. Hearing that, Yun Shujiao immediately put away her cheeky smile. Ancestor, what do you think? The Mu family, Zhuang family, and Qi family have restrained themselves a little in the early stages. Recently, they have started to stir up trouble again. What do you think about this? The ancestor asked. Yun Shujiao narrowed her eyes. They should be testing the attitude of the Zen sect. If the Zen sect doesn't show any signs, they will push their luck. After saying that, Yun Shujiao saw the old ancestor looking at her with a faint smile. This old fox immediately understood the intention of this old fox. Was he planning to ask her to go to the Zen sect to persuade them? Her heart moved. It was good to take the opportunity to go to the Zen sect. Perhaps she could see her parents again. Although her parents could not see her, it was good that she could see them. Therefore, she immediately said, Patriarch, I understand what you mean. I will set off for the Zen sect immediately. The patriarch of the Lan family was very satisfied with Yun Shujia's intelligence and tactfulness. He said, the road is not peaceful. I will send someone to escort you there. Yun Shujiao giggled. There is no need to go to so much trouble. I will ask the Zen sect to send someone to pick me up. The patriarch of the Lan family's face stiffened. He thought that Yun Shujiao was simply dreaming. How could the Zen sect send someone to pick her up? Yun Shujiao said with a smile, I told you that I sensed something wrong with the Buddha's candle. They will beg me to go over and check it out without me saying anything more. At that time, I will say that I am afraid that there are 3 other families in the Divine Devil Hall who are trying to kill me. They will definitely take the initiative to send someone to pick me up. The Lon family's patriarch sighed in his heart. This troublemaker was really full of bad ideas. Fortunately, he didn't do anything to her. Otherwise, the outcome would be uncertain. The ancestor of the Lon family sympathized with the monks of the Zen sect very much. Not only did he replenish the Buddha's candle for free, but he was also very grateful to this little girl. Yun Shujio immediately sent a voice transmission talisman to a master. Sure enough, a master took the initiative to send someone to pick Yun Shujio up and take her to the Zen sect. The patriarch nodded with satisfaction. In that case, go back and prepare. The Zen sect will probably arrive soon. Yun Shujio did not move. She said with a smile, Patriarch, you told me that as long as I can safely bring Lan Luocheng and the others out of the divine relic land and get first place, you will let me be the young master. Why have you never fulfilled your promise? The old ancestor's face immediately darkened. I said that I would give you the right to compete for the position of young master. When did I say that I would let you be the young master? Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Yun Shujio was stunned. Ah, so it's just the right to compete for the position of young master. It seems that I've remembered wrongly. But it doesn't matter. After all, others can't compete with me. Old ancestor, since I want to compete for the position of young master with others, I can't possibly not have any subordinates, right? Are you going to give me some manpower? I'm not greedy, and I don't need too much either. I just need a few thousand people. The forefather took a deep breath. He finally understood that this little girl did not remember wrongly at all. She just wanted people from him. When you come back from the Zen sect, they'll give you 200 people. Yun Shujio was so angry that she was twitching. 200 people? She was just sending away a beggar. 200 is too little, 5,000. Yun Shujio stretched out a palm. The old ancestor glanced at her. 300. Yun Shujio shook her head. 4,000. In the end, Yun Shujio finally won over. 500 people. This guy cursed in his heart. This old stingy man. He was even more stingy than her. However, the guards of the ancestral residence were much better than the guards of the third branch, so 500 was still acceptable. A few days later, the people of the Zen sect arrived. Hei Shinjo set off for the Zen sect happily. The mountain of the Zen sect, the water of the Zen sect, Fairy Jiu, I'm here again. Chapter 5161 Buddha's candle went mad after Yun Shujio arrived at the Zen sect. She greeted sect leader Wu politely and then asked impatiently, Master Liao Wu, what's wrong with the Buddha's candle? Has the dawn bell and the sunset wooden fish been nourished? Yun Shujio said ambiguously, I don't know. I have to wait until I see the Buddha's candle. Master Lei immediately sent someone to bring Hei Shinjo to Changming Palace. As soon as Yun Shujio entered, Buddha's candle's voice was heard through her spiritual sense. What are you doing here? However, it's good that you're here. I've suffered a lot from you before. Hurry up and kowtow to me and admit your mistake. Otherwise, I'll tell the old monks the truth. Yun Shujio curled her lips. Clown candle, aren't you afraid that I'll pull out your wick? Buddha's candle snorted. It's useless for you to threaten me with this. At most, I'll fight you to the death. Yun Shujio didn't continue Buddha's candle's words. She asked, how's your Buddha's power replenishing? It's almost there. Those monks are afraid that my Buddha's power isn't enough, so they come over to chant scriptures all day long. Moreover, this Zen sect is a place where the psyche power is very strong. Are you here to pick me up? Humph, if you kneel down and beg me, I might consider going with you, Buddha's candle said coldly. This time, it had to take this female devil down. Yun Shujio waved her hand. You don't have to think about it. You can continue to stay in the Zen sect. I'm going to the vegetarian hall to eat. Then, Buddha's candle saw Yun Chuzhou leave without looking back. Want to threaten her? You're courting death. Buddha's candle almost died from anger. This stupid girl really didn't care about it at all. To think that it even helped her hide the truth. If someone came, it would definitely expose her evil scheme. At worst, it would be a life and death struggle. Buddha's candle had never been subjected to such cowardice. After Yun Chuzhou came out of the Changming Hall, she saw Master Liaowu again. Seeing her worried face, Master Liaowu couldn't help but feel his heart tighten. Master Yun, is there anything wrong? Yun Chuzhou sighed. Buddha's candle has gone mad. Master Liaowu's face was filled with shock. What did it mean that Buddha's candle had gone mad? Master Yun, what do you mean by this? Buddha's candle has been using its own Buddhist power to nourish the Dawn Bell and Shiwan's wooden fish. I don't know what has been done to the Dawn Bell and Shiwan's wooden fish, but it seems that Buddha's candle has gone mad. Sigh, when I saw it just now, it was talking nonsense. It said that it had never seen the daybreak bell and the sunset wooden fish, and even wanted to kill its master. I'm really too sad. As Yun Chuzhou spoke, her eyes reddened and she began to cry. Master Liaowu and the others looked at each other. How could it be like this? How could Buddha's candle go mad? However, when they thought about how Buddha's candle had possessed the body of a disciple and kept acting like a demon, it seemed a little abnormal. Now, it was possible that it had gone mad. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Master Liaowu consoled Yun Chuzhou with a few words before everyone went to Changming Palace. When Buddha's candle saw so many people coming over, he threatened her with his spiritual sense again. Damned girl, I'll give you one last chance. Apologize to me right now and I won't expose you. Yun Chuzhou laughed lightly, up to you. Buddha's candle was so angry that new and old grudges surged into his heart. He said loudly, all of you old monks have been deceived by this smelly girl. I have never seen any dawn bell or sunset wooden fish, let alone using Buddha's power to nourish them. After saying that, Buddha's candle looked at Yun Chuzhou proudly. He felt that those monks would definitely be so angry that they would vomit blood. They would definitely teach this smelly girl a good lesson. Chapter 5162, Buddha's candle that was about to die from anger. Buddha's candle didn't really want to kill Yun Chuzhou. It just wanted to show her some power. Because it felt that she had thrown it into the Zen sect without making a sound. It was too much. Since it had gotten it, why didn't it cherish it? What was the difference between this and an ingrate who abandoned his wife and children? It had already thought about it. Once these old monks really wanted to kill this female devil, if it said that it was joking, those old monks would let her go. Anyway, it was Buddha's candle, and these old monks couldn't do anything to it. However, Buddha's candle discovered that when it finished speaking, no one moved. Instead, they looked at it as if they were looking at a lunatic. What are you all standing there for? What I said is the truth. This damned girl is lying to you. There is no such thing as the daybreak bell and the sunset wooden fish. I used up all my Buddha energy for other reasons. It was not to nourish the daybreak bell and the evening wood fish at all. After saying that, Buddha's candle saw that the monk still did not make any movements. He was so anxious that he jumped up and down. He said angrily, "You idiots. Didn't you hear what I said? If you don't catch her, I will possess your body and do it myself." Yun Chuzhou let out a long sigh and looked at Master Liaowu. Did you see it? It is now demonic. In order to prevent it from hurting others, I will put it away first. Then, we will discuss further. Master Liaowu nodded his head hurriedly, afraid that Buddha's candle would possess other disciples, and it would be chaotic again. Buddha's candle howled in anger, "Idiots. You bunch of idiots. She sold you all, and you still helped her count the money." No one was willing to be scolded, so everyone looked at Buddha's candle with increasingly unkind eyes. Yun Chuzhou's spiritual sense moved. Although Buddha's candle tried its best to resist, it couldn't withstand the fact that they had already signed a contract and hid in Yunchuji's left hand. In fact, there was another reason why Master Liaowu and the others believed Yunchujo so easily. If the Buddha's candle was telling the truth, why didn't it say it before? It had already woken up. Therefore, everyone was sure that the Buddha's candle was playing tricks again. After all, it had a criminal record. Master Liaowu looked at Yunchujo, who wanted to say something but hesitated. Yunchujo understood what he meant and said, "Don't worry. I will stay in the Zen sect for a few more days. I will definitely think of a solution." Master Liaowu heaved a sigh of relief. "Then I will have to trouble you, Master Yun. I have asked my first junior brother to help you arrange a place to stay. I will still stay in the wooden house next to the Spring of Tranquility. After all, I am a female companion. It is not good for me to stay in other places," said Yunchujo. Master Liaowu felt that what she said made sense and immediately agreed. Master Lei still sent Ji Kong and Ji Su to entertain Yunchujo. The three of them arrived at the Spring of Tranquility. Ji Kong and Ji Su were much more cheerful than before, and the three of them chatted enthusiastically. Yunchujo took out the gifts she brought for them, which were all food and trinkets. The gifts were not about how valuable they were, but whether they were sincere or not. Although the gifts that Yunchujo brought were not very valuable, they were all things that they showed curiosity about when Yunchujo chatted with them last time. "Has anything happened in the Zen sect these days?" Yunchujo asked with a smile. Ji Kong and Ji Su looked at each other and then shook their heads. "No, everything is as usual." Yunchujo was very smart. She knew that the two of them were not telling the truth, but she did not press them further. Chapter 5163 Beautiful Beyond the Horizon. The reason why Yunchujo asked this was because she found that there were not all the people in the meeting hall today, at least 1/3 less. Logically speaking, for such a big event like the Breaking Dawn Bell and Shiwan's Wooden Fish, all the famous people in the Zen sect should be here. Therefore, she felt that those people must have gone to do something else, and it was not a small matter. However, since Ji Kong and Ji Su did not mention it, it was probably not easy to tell them. Anyway, she was going to stay in the Zen sect for a while, and she would find out sooner or later. The three of them chatted for a while more. Yunchujo excused herself from the two of them with the excuse that she was tired and moved into the small wooden house that she stayed in the last time. Buddha's candle had been cursing in his spiritual sense. Yunchujo had isolated her spiritual sense before, so it was useless for him to curse. Yunchujo undid the spiritual sense restriction and said with a chuckle, "Clown Candle, I have to thank you for making such a scene. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to take you back." Buddha's candle was so angry that he was about to die. He couldn't understand why those old monks didn't believe his words. "Clown Candle, I'm warning you for the last time. If you dare to be a demon again, I'll directly pull out your candle wick. I said I'll do it, but if you don't believe me, you can try." Upon hearing this, Buddha's candle did not dare to say anything else, because it felt that this female devil was playing for real. It could not help but feel sad. It was also a spiritual tool of the female devil. Why was she so gentle to the little flame and so fierce to it? It was too unfair. Moreover, she had left it alone in the Zen sect. She did not even take a fancy to it. Yunchujo sensed the Buddha's candle's depressed mood and decided to give it a sweet date. "Clown Candle, I'm doing this for your own good. Didn't you say that I would replenish your Buddhist energy as soon as possible before you fainted? I'm not a monk, so I thought of a way to send you back to the Zen sect. There's nothing I can do about it." Buddha's candle felt a little better after hearing Yunchuji's words. It seemed that this wretched girl had not abandoned it. She was doing this for its own good. Seeing that the Buddha's candle did not say anything, Yunchujo continued, "I came here to pick you up. Since you have signed a contract with me, I will not abandon you." The sweet dates given after the slap tasted especially sweet. After Yunchujo comforted the Buddha's candle, its previous resentment was immediately thrown to the back of its mind. The Buddha's candle said with some awkwardness, "Since you are here to pick me up, let's leave the Zen sect now." It couldn't wait to see the colorful world. It had stayed in this shabby place enough. Yunchujo shook her head. "The time is not ripe yet. If I leave now, I will definitely arouse the suspicion of those old monks. I have to think of a way. Moreover, I want to see my parents again. I don't know who ordered these damn old monks to imprison my parents." Therefore, Yunchujo stayed in the Zen sect. Ji Kong and Ji Su chatted with her, and there was also a delicious vegetarian meal. Yunchujo's small days in the Zen sect could be said to be wonderful. The person who was more excited than Hei Shinjo, no, the beast, must be Han Dun. Through Yunchujo's spiritual sense, this guy saw that all of them were bald, and he immediately had a strange psychological balance. No matter what, it still had a few tufts of fur, and it was much stronger than these monks. Moreover, it was already wearing the green sweater knitted for it by the wool ball, and it simply felt that its beauty was out of this world. Chapter 5164. I dreamed of Buddha. Han Dun was very confident in his beauty, so he proposed to go out for a walk. Yunchujo naturally wouldn't agree, because Han Dun's level of discernment was too strong. It's shaped like a bear, with long fur covering its body, 4 legs without claws, 2 eyes not seeing, 2 ears not hearing. Although the long fur was gone, other features were still there. Dog 2 said proudly, "See? I, Dog 2, am the one with foresight. I can go out anytime and anywhere." Han Dun was so angry that he snorted. "You ugly freak. It's a waste to go out. Poor nobody loves you." Dog 2 looked at Han Dun, who was wearing a green sweater, and curled its lips. "I don't talk about beauty and ugliness with fools." Han Dun was so angry that he was half dead. However, he was only left with a few strands of hair. He did not have any fighting strength at all, so he could only howl. Xiao Hanio and the others were annoyed by his howl, so the miserable Han Dun was beaten up in a group. Han Dun felt that he was really unlucky for 8 lifetimes. How could he have confusedly recognized this black-hearted little girl as his master? He regretted it. He regretted it so much that his intestines turned green. Dog 2 thought of a very important question. "Oh right, how did you offend the little fairy in your previous life?" It felt that although Yunchujo was black-hearted, she would not shave off Han Dun's fur for no reason. Han Dun must have done something to offend Yunchujo. Han Dun's eyeless eyes flashed and he snorted coldly. "I don't remember." Buttface pursed his lips. He didn't remember? He probably didn't dare to say it? Perhaps, after he said it, he wouldn't be able to keep the last few tufts of fur. Yunchujo never interfered with the friendly communication between the dumb cuties. This fellow didn't have the time to bother with them now. She was thinking about 3 things now. The first thing was how to trick the daybreak bell and Shiwan's wooden fish, and then leave the Zen sect with the Buddha's candle. The second was how to meet her parents. It would be best if she could find out the mastermind behind the scenes. The last was what had happened in the Zen sect. She felt that Ji Kong and Ji Su were absent-minded these 2 days. This was obviously abnormal. This guy thought about it and decided to start with the third thing. If she could help, then the first and second things might turn for the better. Hence, Ji Kong and Ji Su were invited for a meal. Ji Kong and Ji Su did not decline. Firstly, they had a good relationship with Yunchujo. Secondly, they had never seen some fresh food brought by Yunchujo, so they could not help but be curious. The 3 of them chatted while eating. After chatting for a while, Yunchujo said mysteriously, "I dreamed of Buddha yesterday." Ji Kong pressed his palms together. Amitabha. This means that benefactor Yun has a wisdom root. Why don't you join the Buddhist sect? Yunchujo, this fellow was so angry that she was about to get married and have sex with him. Where did he come from? Why didn't Ji Kong play by the rules? Shouldn't he be asking Buddha what he said? Fortunately, Ji-su asked, Benefactor Yun, what did Buddha say to you? Yun Shujo decided to treat Ji-su better in the future. He was the cuter one. The guy said with a sympathetic look, the Buddha didn't say it explicitly. He just said that I have a connection with the Zen sect and hoped that I wouldn't stand by and do nothing. He also said that I'm the key person to solve the problem. The guy said with a puzzled look, what do you think the Buddha means? The Zen sect is fine. Why do you say that I stand by and do nothing? Chapter 5165 was related to the ghost ancestor Ji Kong, and Ji Su looked at each other and said a few perfunctory words, but it was obvious that they were absent-minded. Seeing that, Yun Shujo did not continue this topic and changed to talk about other things. After eating, Ji Kong found an excuse to leave. Soon, Ji Kong came back and did not say anything. Yun Shujo wasn't in a hurry. Anyway, the bait had already been released. Whether the fish took the bait or not wasn't something she could control. After another 2 days, Master Liaowu invited her. Yun Shujo narrowed her eyes. It seemed that the fish had taken the bait. After Yun Shujo arrived at the meeting hall, she found that the people this time were more complete and felt more confident. Master Liaowu first asked about Buddha's candle. Master Liaowu, I wonder how Buddha's candle is doing recently. Although he is still a little agitated, I have been using my spiritual sense to calm him down. His condition is better than before, said Yun Shujo. Buddha's candle in his left palm cursed in his heart. You are the one who is agitated. Your entire family is agitated. However, this fellow also knew that he could not outsmart Yun Shujo. Moreover, he was now her candle. As the saying goes, one follows the rooster, one follows the dog. He could only accept his fate. Master Liaowu's mind was obviously not on the Buddha's candle. After pondering for a moment, he said, I heard that Master Yun dreamed about Buddha a few days ago. Yun Shujo was stunned at first, and then she said with some resentment, Did Ji Kong and Ji Su tell you that? I just said it casually, but they actually told you? Master Liaowu's expression was somewhat unnatural. After all, this kind of gossipy behavior was not very good. He said dryly, Master Yun, they were forced to do it. Please forgive them, Master Yun. Hei Shinjo was overjoyed. Forgive them, of course, forgive them. He just wanted to let you know. However, there was still a hint of displeasure on his face. He said, since Master Liaowu asked about this matter, is there something wrong? Master Liaowu sighed and said, to tell you the truth, our Zen sect is now in great trouble. Since Buddha sent you a dream, can you help us, Master Yun? Yun Shujo was so happy that she was rolling on the ground, but she looked surprised. Encountered a huge problem? The Zen sect has such a high status in the Chongshao continent. Who would dare to cause trouble for the Zen sect? Could it be the Divine Devil Hall? Master Liaowu shook his head. If it was the Divine Devil Hall, our Zen sect would not be afraid. Oh. What kind of trouble is that? Master Liaowu, please tell me. If I can help, it is my duty, Yun Shujo said righteously. Master Liaowu sighed again. Speaking of which, this matter is related to the ghost ancestor. Yun Shujo almost fell to the ground when she heard this. Oh my, could it be that it was her fault again? Tui. Tui. Could it be that she did something good again? Master Liaowu did not notice the slight change in Yun Shujia's expression and continued, back then, the ghost ancestor made a big fuss in our bitter Zen sect and erased the word bitter from the plaque on the mountain gate of our bitter Zen sect. Our bitter Zen sect became the current Zen sect. Yun Shujo heard Ji Kong and the others mention this matter, so she was not surprised. She was just wondering why the old monk mentioned this matter. Master Liaowu continued, after the ghost ancestor left, an internal conflict broke out in our Zen sect because of the name of the sect. In the end, the Zen sect was split into two. The one we left behind was called the Zen sect, and the one that left was still called the bitter Zen sect. Chapter 5166 Bitter Zen Sect. Yunchuji's eyes widened. So there really was a bitter Zen sect? Back then, she had met the old monk, Wang Su, at the fallen god abyss and had asked her to send his relic to the bitter Zen sect. She had thought that the old monk had said the wrong place, but it turned out that there really was a bitter Zen sect. This fellow heaved a sigh of relief in her heart. She had originally thought that she had committed some sins in her previous life. It seemed that it had nothing to do with her, right? The division of the bitter Zen sect into two seemed like they were having an internal conflict because of the name, but in fact, it was just a fuse. There must have been a big conflict long ago, and it would erupt sooner or later. A few thoughts flashed through this fellow's mind, and she continued to listen to Master Liao Wu say, after that branch of the bitter Zen sect left, there was no more news. I didn't expect that there would suddenly be news a few days ago. When Master Liao Wu said this, he couldn't help but let out a long sigh. Yun Chuzhou cursed in her heart. This old monk is really something. Why did he sigh so much? He really left people hanging. Master Liao Wu said, a few days ago, the bitter Zen sect sent someone to deliver the decree. The main idea was that they are the true orthodox of the bitter Zen sect, so they asked us to move out of here and return this place to them. Yun Chuzhou curled her lips. Those people are too shameless. They were the ones who wanted to leave back then, and now they want to take over the magpie's nest? Bah! Dream on. Yun Chuzhou's words could be said to have hit the bottom of the hearts of Master Liao Wu and the others. However, they were monks, so it was difficult for them to be so straightforward. However, after hearing Yun Chuzhou's words, their impression of Yun Chuzhou became even better. Master Liao Wu continued, after we refused, the bitter Zen sect proposed to hold the 10,000 Buddha Dharma assembly on Mount Buddha in half a month. In fact, it was a competition between two sections. Only the winner had the right to occupy this place. Yun Chuzhou blinked her eyes. Master Liao Wu, we just ignore them. Don't tell me they can attack us by force. Even if they attack us by force, we are not afraid of them. What are you worried about? Almsgiver Yun, you may not know this, but when the bitter Zen sect left, they took a lot of books and treasures with them. Although they have been hidden from the world, their strength is not to be underestimated. Moreover, we are from the same lineage after all. If we fight, we will be unworthy of the ancestors of the Buddha and the sect, explained the head of the sect. So you are going to agree to participate in the competition? Then just agree. Are you afraid of them? Or do they have some trump cards? Yun Chuzhou asked in confusion. The sect master looked troubled. To tell you the truth, since they took a large part of the ancient Buddhist scriptures, we might not have a chance of winning if we compete in the debate. Moreover, they also took a lot of numinous treasures. If the Dawn Bell and 11 Wan wooden fish of our Zen sect were still here, we wouldn't be afraid. But now, alas. Yun Chuzhou touched her nose guiltily and said, then what do you plan to do? Are you going to participate or not? Master Liao Wu let out a long sigh and said, of course I'm going to participate. Otherwise, the bitter Zen sect will use this as an excuse to make a fuss and then attack our Zen sect. When the time comes, when the war breaks out, people will be plunged into misery and suffering. It's a sin, a sin. Yun Chuzhou blinked her eyes and said, Master Liao Wu, you don't have to worry too much. If they were really that powerful, they would have attacked long ago. Why would they wait until today? Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Master Yun, there is something you don't know. According to the information we have gathered, there seems to be a connection between the bitter Zen sect and the Divine Devil Hall. The most important thing is that they seem to have mastered a powerful array formation, which is why they have the confidence to shout at us, said Master Liao Wu. If we have time, I want to go to your sect scripture depository, just in case, Yun Chuzhou said. Mount Buddha is about 3 days away from the Zen sect. We will leave in about 10 days. However, the Buddhist Dharma is profound, and the time is so short, so you don't need to waste your energy, Master Yun. The reason why Master Liao said so was because he did think that Yun Chuzhou had read it for nothing, and also because the Zen sect scripture pavilion did not allow outsiders to enter. Yun Chuzhou knew that Master Liao was tactfully rejecting her, but she would not give up this good opportunity. Maybe she could find some clues about the mastermind behind the scenes in the scripture pavilion. Thus, she said, as the saying goes, if one grinds one spear at the last minute, it will shine. We cannot hesitate just because the future is dangerous. Even if I can only read one Buddhist scripture, it will give me an additional chance of winning. Chapter 5168. The little monk Master Liao was stunned for a moment before saying, Amitabha, it's me who has lost my mind. Since that's the case, I will pass down the order. Benefactor Yun, feel free to enter the library to study. Hence, from the next day onwards, Yun Chuzhou entered the library. Of course, Master Liao only gave her access to the ordinary books in the library. Naturally, he would not let her access the precious books. Yun Chuzhou did not mind. It had only been 10 days, and she could not read that much. Although the library of the Zen sect was not complete, the collection of books was also very vast. It was more than 10 times bigger than the library of the Lan family's ancestral residence. Although Yun Chuzhou liked to be lazy, she would never be lazy when it came to reading books. Soon, the day of departure arrived. Since the matter was of great importance, Master Liao naturally had to go personally. However, even though everyone had gathered, Yun Chuzhou was nowhere to be seen. Master Liao couldn't help but feel his heart beat faster. Could it be that that little girl had stolen one of his rings and went back on her word? At this moment, a handsome little monk walked over from afar with his hands clasped together. The little monk's eyes were clear and peaceful. One look and one could tell that he had a pure and good character without any distracting thoughts. He should have been influenced by Buddhism since he was young. Otherwise, he wouldn't be so pure. That's right, he was pure. There were no impurities in his eyes, as if he had never had any worldly distracting thoughts. Seeing that he was unfamiliar, Master Liao asked a master beside him, how come I have never seen this disciple before? Which generation of disciple is this? Master Lei frowned. He had never seen this little monk before either. Logically speaking, he should have an impression of such an outstanding disciple. At this time, the young monk had already walked in front of the two of them. He clasped his hands together and said, Amitabha. Greetings, Master Liao and First Martial Uncle. Master Liao was dumbfounded. How come he didn't know when he had taken in such a disciple? Seeing the young monk's crafty gaze, Master Liao guessed in surprise, could you be Benefactor Yun? The little monk immediately lost his usual well-mannered appearance. He bared his white teeth and said in a clear voice, that's right, it's me. How is it? Is my appearance all right? I can definitely deceive those people from the Zen of Bitterness sect, right? Although sect leader Wu knew that there were disguising techniques in this world, he was still quite shocked. This was because even if an ordinary person took a pill to disguise themselves, or even used medicine to change their voice, it was very difficult to completely change their temperament. This little girl had a shrewd and worldly aura. How could she change into that innocent and harmless appearance from before? Master Lei was also very surprised. He said, Benefactor Yun is indeed extraordinary. However, there is still a flaw. Yun Chuzhou blinked her eyes. You mean that I don't have Buddhist power cultivation? Master Lei nodded. When he saw Yun Chuzhou just now, the only thing he was puzzled about was that the little monk in front of him did not have any Buddhist power. Yun Chuzhou spread out her hands and said, I can't do anything about it. Do you have any good ideas? Master Lei thought for a moment and took out a string of Buddhist beads and handed it to Yun Chuzhou. After you refine this, outsiders will mistake you for a yellow 9th level Buddhist lotus. It's just that this cultivation level seems to be a little too low. Yun Chuzhou quickly put the Buddhist beads around her neck and said, not low, not low. It's better than me not having any at all. Anyway, I'm not going to fight with anyone. As long as I can fool them. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Yun Shujo curled her lips. It's not enough to just be the old monk's true disciple. Soon, there will be another lonely Buddha in the Chongshao continent. At that time, old monk Liwu will grit his teeth and will not reveal my true identity. At that time, even if I can't save my parents, I can still take more initiative. After a long time, Di Baiming's voice was heard again. Be careful. Yun Shujo said with a smile, don't worry, a disaster like me can't be killed. You, on the other hand, be careful. Di Baiming only replied with an N. Yun Shujo pouted her lips. What a tsundere. Master Liaowu saw that Yun Shujo was smiling and frowning at the same time. He thought in his heart, can such a lively little girl really solve this crisis? Yun Shujo felt sect Master Liaowu was sizing her up. She turned her head and bared her little white teeth. Master, why are you looking for me? Sect Master Liaowu shook his head and thought to himself, this little girl's master is easy to call. I don't have such a good disciple. Chapter 5170 Inventory of Good Things. And Yun Shujo saw that Master Liaowu was no longer paying attention to her. She began to inventory the good things on her body. The first one was the 18 jade glass Bodhi seeds that the jade glass Bodhi tree gave her. These things were extremely important to confirm her identity as the son of Buddha in the future. Buddha's candle could feel her thoughts and couldn't help but curse in his heart. Gift? Are you fucking sure it's a gift? The jade glass Bodhi tree was about to cry until it turned into a withered branch. He had personally seen this black-hearted girl carrying a large kitchen knife and telling the jade glass Bodhi tree that if it could not gather 18 jade glass Bodhi seeds, it would chop it into a wooden stake. The jade glass Bodhi tree had no choice but to hand over these jade glass Bodhi seeds in tears. In the end, before this fellow left, he even grabbed a few jade glass Bodhi leaves. The cry of the jade glass Bodhi tree was simply heartbreaking. Anyone who heard it would shed tears. Yun Shujo did not know what the Buddha's candle was saying. The fellow continued to count with his spiritual sense. There were still quite a number of Buddha lotuses in her storage ring. Although she did not know what this thing could do, since that old monk, Wang Su, valued it so much. It must be a good thing. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. She still had the relic of Wang Su. If she used this thing well, she might have an unexpected harvest. In the end, she still had the Buddha's candle. The Buddha's candle was quite dissatisfied with Yun Shujo placing it at the last place. However, when it saw the breaking dawn bell and Shiwan wooden fish on Yun Shujo's wrist, it felt a strange balance in its heart. No matter what, it was better than these two unlucky fellows. 3 days passed very quickly. Due to the ban on flying near Mount Buddha, everyone had to go there on foot. Yun Shujo, this drama queen, was very professional. Even though she was fooling around with flying spirit tools, at this moment, she looked very well behaved. Master Liaowu thought to himself, if he didn't know beforehand, no matter who said that the little monk in front of him was Yun Shujo in disguise, he wouldn't believe it. Because, the two of them didn't have the slightest similarity. Yun Shujo was shrewd and worldly, jumping out of mischievous ways. However, the lonely little monk in front of him was peaceful and quiet. No one would connect the two together. News of the 10,000 Buddha Dharma assembly had spread throughout the entire Chongshao continent. Almost all the forces had sent people to participate, and most of them had their leaders come personally. The reason was simple. The Zen sect held an important position in the Chongshao continent. Once something happened to the Zen sect, it would have a huge impact on the Chongshao continent, so everyone naturally had to get first-hand information. Therefore, the Zen sect members met several groups of people on the road. Among them, there were members of the Lan family led by the ancestor of the Lan family. After the ancestor of the Lan family greeted Master Liaowu, his gaze fell on Yun Chuzhou. Because Yun Chuzhou had always been by Master Liao's side, it seemed that she should be the successor disciple of Master Liao. However, why had he never seen her before? Master Liao was afraid that the old ancestor of the Lan family would find out Yun Chuzhou's identity and bring unnecessary trouble, so he said according to the prepared excuse, "This is my last disciple. He has been worshipping the Buddha in the 1,000 Buddha cave. This time, I will bring him out to see the world." Only then did the old ancestor of the Lan family realize that there was indeed a 1,000 Buddha cave in the Zen sect. It was said that there were thousands of Buddha statues in it. Judging from the purity of this little monk's eyes, it was obvious that he had been influenced by Buddha Dharma all year round. It made sense. However, this Buddhist power seemed to be a little low. However, he was still young, so it was not a big deal. As if seeing through his doubts, Master Liao explained, "This disciple of mine is very obsessed with the Buddhist Dharma. Instead, he has neglected his cultivation." Master Lan smiled. Master Liao is too modest. This kid seems to have a good Buddhist nature. He will definitely have great achievements in the future. Chapter 51-71, Meeting without knowing each other. Master Liao exchanged a few pleasantries. Seeing that even the ancestor of the Lan family was unable to see through Yun Chuzhou, he could not help but feel a little more at ease. The ancestor of the Lan family asked again, "May I know the disciple's Dharma name?" Master Liao's face stiffened, and he braced himself and said, "He is a generation with the word Ji, so his Dharma name. Lonesome." Lan family's Master Liao, do you think Buddha knows that you are so naughty? Lan family's Master Liao coughed dryly and decided to change the topic. By the way, little Nine didn't cause any trouble in the Zen sect, did she? That little girl is very naughty. If there is anything wrong, please forgive her, Master Liao. Master Liao thought, the little girl you mentioned is right in front of you. It was a pity that they didn't know each other. He laughed and said a few words, and the two of them chatted for a while more before the ancestor of the Lan family took his people away. Previously, the ancestor of the Lan family sent a voice transmission talisman to Yun Chuzhou. Yun Chuzhou told him that she would stay in the Zen sect for a few more days and return to the Lan family after the 10,000 Buddhist Dharma assembly. The ancestor of the Lan family naturally didn't object. If Yun Chuzhou stayed in the Zen sect, he would be able to keep track of the movements of the Zen sect in time. After all, the Lan family still relied on the Zen sect to intimidate the other three families. To be honest, the change of events this time made the patriarch of the Lan family feel a little uneasy. If the Zen sect was replaced by the bitter Zen sect, then the other three families might take the opportunity to attack the Lan family. Therefore, he sincerely hoped that the Zen sect could win. After the patriarch of the Lan family left, he met the Mu family and others one after another. Everyone was a little curious about the newly made lonely monk, but no one doubted her identity. Master Liao was slightly relieved. However, could this little girl really play a crucial role? First, she didn't know how to debate scriptures, and second, she didn't have Buddha's power. What could she do to help? Forget it. Since it was Buddha's dream, let's wait and see. There was a Buddhist city less than 30 miles away from Mount Buddha. Because there were too many people participating in the Dharma assembly of 10,000 Buddhas, it was already crowded. Both the inns and the streets were full of people. All the inns were full of people. Even the firewood room in the backyard was full of people. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. However, big families like the Lan family had sent people to book inns in advance, so they were not too embarrassed. As for the people from the Zen sect, they did not live in Buddha City. Instead, they lived in the Buddha Temple. The Buddha Temple was located at the foot of Mount Buddha. Not only did the people from the Zen sect live here, but the people from the Zen sect also lived here. The Buddha Temple was divided into east and west courtyards. The bitter Zen sect lived in the east courtyard, and the Zen sect lived in the west courtyard. The Buddha Temple was not big, and it did not have a prominent reputation. However, the bitter Zen sect had set the venue of the 10,000 Buddha Dharma assembly here. It was likely that the Buddha temple was their power. Master Liaowu also hesitated whether he should live in the Buddha temple. However, thinking about it, if he refused, it would appear that they were afraid of the bitter Zen sect, which would inevitably hurt their morale. Moreover, he felt that the bitter Zen sect would not resort to such insidious and despicable means. Even if they did, their Zen sect might not fall for it. Moreover, if they had such intentions, even if they stayed in the inn, they would still be schemed against. Although the Buddha temple was not big, it was quite quiet and elegant. The meditation rooms were also cleaned very cleanly, and the Zen sect people were still quite satisfied. Master Liaowu called Yun Chuzhou to his meditation room. Master Yun Chuzhou widened her eyes. Master, you don't even know your own disciple? Your precious disciple, little monk lonesome. Master Liaowu. Chapter 5172, Xianji. Just as Master Liaowu was about to speak, Yun Chuzhou put away the cheeky smile on her face and said seriously, if you want to deceive others, you have to deceive yourself first. Master, don't you agree? Master Liaowu was shocked and immediately said, what your disciple said makes sense. I was careless. Master, why did you call me here? I want to remind you not to move around so as to avoid unnecessary trouble. To be honest, Sect Master Liaowu was really worried about Yun Chuzhou. This little girl was a troublemaker. If it weren't for the fact that there was no other way, he wouldn't have brought her here. Yun Chuzhou said obediently, Master, don't worry. Your disciple will recite scriptures in the room and won't cause trouble. Master Liaowu was about to give a few more warnings, but someone came to report that someone from the bitter Zen sect had come. Master Liaowu was not too surprised, but he did not expect the people from the bitter Zen sect to come so quickly. It was naturally not good for Master Liaowu to receive guests in the meditation room. He asked someone to send the people from the bitter Zen sect to a hall in the west courtyard that was specially used for receiving guests. Yun Chuzhou followed behind obediently. As the saying went, know yourself, know your enemy, and you will win every battle. She happened to look at the monks of the bitter Zen sect. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. When Yun Chuzhou and Master Li arrived, Master Liaowu and the others were chatting with a few monks. Yun Chuzhou cursed in her heart. These monks said that the four great powers were all empty, but they were actually just as hypocritical. They clearly wished that they could strangle the other party to death, but on the surface, they were smiling like Maitreya Buddha. An old monk at the head of the bitter Zen sect put his palms together and said to Master Liaowu, Amitabha. I believe this is junior brother Liaowu. The old monk who spoke was very tall and sturdy. Although there was a smile in his words, it didn't reach the bottom of his eyes. Moreover, he addressed Master Liaowu as junior brother. It was obvious that he wanted to suppress Master Liaowu. Master Liaowu smiled and said, I am Master Liaowu. May I know how to address this master? Before the old monk who spoke earlier could reply, an old monk beside him snorted coldly and said, Master Liaowu, you are really giving us a lot of face. Why is it that our sect master has wronged you by addressing you as junior brother? Master Liaowu's expression remained the same as he said indifferently, this junior brother, may I know how to address you? The old monk who spoke couldn't help but choke. He didn't know whether he should reply or not. This Liaowu was indeed crafty. What should he do? If he went along with Master Liaowu's words, wouldn't he admit that he was a head lower than him? However, if he didn't go along with him, wouldn't he slap his own face? At this moment, the old monk who spoke first smiled and said, Master Liaowu, my Dharma name is Xianji. These are my junior brothers, Xian Hui, Xian Ren, Xian Ci. Ever since the bitter Zen sect established itself, it didn't continue to pass down its original Dharma name. Therefore, although it was in the same generation as Master Liaowu and the others, its Dharma name was Xian. Yun Chuzhou thought to herself, this Xianji was really quick-witted. This way, he solved Xian Hu's dilemma. The conflict was temporarily resolved, and both sides sat down. After a few polite words, Xian Ji's gaze fell on Yun Chujiu. This little disciple is the successor disciple of Master Liaowu? Master Liaowu nodded. That's right, Lone. Haven't you met Master Xuanji and the other masters? Master Xuanji and the others, did they hear wrong? This little monk's dharma name was Lonesome. Master Xian Hui, the old monk who had been picking on them earlier, immediately sneered. Your Zen sect is really difficult to explain in one word. Is there anyone who has such a dharma name? Master Liaowu felt helpless. This dharma name wasn't bestowed by him. Chapter 5173 Acceptance of Fate? At this moment, Yun Chuji's clear voice rang out, Amitabha. Buddha says that all forms are illusory. Yun Chujiu only said this one sentence and stopped speaking. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. However, Xian Hu's old face turned red. Of course, he knew what Yun Chujiu meant by this sentence. All forms in the world were illusory, and so was the Dharma name. He had mocked Yun Chuji's Dharma name just now. Obviously, he had been blinded by the illusion. In this way, it made people feel that he didn't even understand such simple Buddhist principles. It was really embarrassing. Master Liaowu was very satisfied. It seemed that this little girl didn't go to the scripture depository for nothing. Master Lei and the others also looked at Yun Chujiu with approval. They thought, well done. Master Xuanji stroked his beard and smiled. As expected, a master produces a good disciple, Master Liaowu. Your disciple's Buddhist nature is indeed good, but his cultivation seems to be a little low. If his cultivation is too low, I'm afraid that some profound Buddhist Dharma will not be able to be comprehended thoroughly. Master Liaowu said indifferently, he is still young, and he has spent all his energy on studying Buddhist Dharma. In time, his cultivation will go up. I wonder if Master Xuanji has something to discuss with us. Master Xuanji smiled and said, Master Liaowu, we are of the same origin after all. It would be inappropriate if we hurt the harmony during the spiritual conference. Therefore, we might as well have another discussion. If your Zen sect agrees to give up the space, we don't need to make a big fuss. Master Liaowu's face suddenly darkened. Master Xuanji, if you are here to talk about this matter, then there is no need to talk about it. There is no room for negotiation. Master Xuanji was not angry. He smiled and said, well, since Master Liaowu is determined to decide who is better in the Dharma assembly of 10,000 Buddhas, I will accompany you. Xian Hui sneered at the side and said, although our bitter Zen sect has not entered the human realm for many years, our cultivation has not fallen. At that time, I'm afraid your Zen sect will lose face. Master Liaowu frowned and did not respond to Xian Hu's words. Instead, he picked up his teacup and drank tea. Everyone understood that Master Liaowu was serving tea to send off the guests. They had no interest in continuing the conversation. A cold smile flashed across Master Zuanzi's eyes. He stood up and said, Amitabha. Since Master Liaowu is so kind, I will take my leave. Master Liaowu said lightly, goodbye. I won't send you off. Master Xuanji immediately left with the people of the bitter Zen sect. Before he left, Xian Hui glared at Yun Chujiu fiercely. This loneliness had embarrassed him in public just now. He would suffer in the Dharma assembly of 10,000 Buddhas tomorrow. Yun Chujiu naturally saw Xian Hu's actions and sneered in her heart. She wanted to see what this old thing would do. After Xian Ji and the others left, Master Lei said with a worried expression, Master, the bitter Zen sect obviously hid their true strength. Their actual strength is much stronger than what we know. I'm afraid there will be big trouble in this spiritual conference. The others also nodded. Xian Ji was obviously here to demonstrate his strength. The people he brought with him, regardless of whether they were from the Xian generation or those from the Yuan generation like Ji Kong, had high cultivation bases. Master Liaowu chanted the name of Buddha, Amitabha. Everything has a destiny. We just need to give it our all. Yun Shujiao pursed her lips in her heart. What she said was rather dignified. Wasn't it translated into plain language? Accept your fate? If she didn't come, perhaps these old monks could only accept their fate. However, since she, the nemesis of the competition, had come, the winner of this 10,000 Buddha Dharma assembly could only be the Zen sect. Chapter 5174 Scripture Debate. The next morning, everyone rushed to the venue of the 10,000 Buddha's Dharma assembly. Because of the name of the Dharma assembly, a statue of the Buddha was enshrined at the venue of the competition, and the monks of the Buddha temple had been chanting the scriptures. Master Liaowu and Master Xuanji held incense sticks and led the disciples to recite the scriptures once, and the Dharma assembly came to an end temporarily. Yun Shujiao had seen the spiritual conference of the secular world, and it was much grander than this one. She thought to herself, these old monks said that they were monks, but in fact, they were only so about Buddhism. They were more concerned with how to improve the power of Buddha. The spiritual conference came to an end temporarily. The main event was coming. The abbot of the Buddha temple, Master Fangde, walked up to the competition stage, put his palms together and bowed. Then he said, Amitabha. Master Xuanji of the Suffering Zen sect and Master Liaowu of the Zen sect have asked me to preside over the next 2 competitions. The competition is divided into 3 rounds. The first round is the debate, the second round is the Buddhist power competition, and the third round is the array competition. According to the rules of the debate, anyone who can defeat the other 5 will win. In addition, the candidates for the competition are limited to the round word generation of the Suffering Zen sect and the silent word generation of the Zen sect. Now, the competition begins. The expressions of Master Liaowu and the others immediately turned ugly. They had not said that the competition was limited to the round word generation and the silent generation of the Zen sect. It was obvious that the bitter Zen sect had held back. Although the round word generation of the bitter Zen sect was of the same seniority as the silent generation of the Zen sect, they were basically much older than the silent generation of the Zen sect. Therefore, whether it was in terms of cultivation base or experience, the Zen sect was at a disadvantage. It was really a good plan. However, it was already too late to back down now, so they could only brace themselves and accept the challenge. As soon as Master Defang stepped off the stage, a monk of the bitter Zen sect jumped onto the stage, put his palms together, and bowed. Then, he said, "This penniless monk is Yuan Guang of the bitter Zen sect. May I know which disciple of the Zen sect would like to discuss Buddhism with this penniless monk?" Soon, someone from the Zen sect came onto the stage. "This penniless monk is Ji Wang from the Zen sect. Please enlighten me." Yuan Guang looked Ji Wang up and down, and a hint of disdain flashed in his eyes. Then, he said, "All impermanence is perception." Ji Wang immediately retorted, "Sound is impermanence, but it is not perception." Yuan Guang sneered. "Because it can't be." Ji Wang immediately added, "Sound should be the result of one's actions, because it is already a dharma." Yun Shujiao was drowsy from listening to him, but in order to act cool, she could only pretend to listen with great interest. In fact, this guy did not understand a single word. Although she had read a lot of Buddhist scriptures, she only gulped down a few sentences that she thought were useful. Yuan Guang and Hope's debate was no different from the tomes of Arcane to her. Moreover, she felt that the 2 of them were too gentle. Why not just kill each other with 1 sentence? She saw that the forehead of Hope was already covered in sweat. She concluded that Hope should not be able to win against Yuan Guang. "Sorry for the inconvenience." "Thank you very much." Sure enough, soon Hope stuttered. In the end, he could not speak and could only admit defeat and leave the stage. There was a hint of pride in Yuan Guang's eyes as he said, "Which other Zen sect disciple will come up to accept the challenge?" Another Zen sect disciple immediately went up to the competition stage, but he was defeated again in the end. Fortunately, Ji Kong, who was the third to step onto the stage, won. Before Yuan Guang left, he gave Ji Kong a vicious look before stepping off the stage. Yun Chujiu was very pleased with herself. She was definitely the reason why little monk Ji Kong was able to win. This was because she had often teased Ji Kong. Ji Kong's eloquence had been trained by her. Chapter 5175 Lonely little monk Ji Kong also felt that Yun Chujiu had contributed a lot to his ability to deal with the bitter Zen sect, because that female devil was much trickier than those people from the bitter Zen sect. Ji Kong had won 3 people in a row. Master Lei was very gratified. He thought that it was not in vain for him to send 2 disciples to that little girl to be tortured. It was still very effective. At this moment, another disciple came up from the bitter Zen sect. Although this disciple was older than Ji Kong, he was much younger than those who had come up from the bitter Zen sect previously. That disciple had a proud look on his face. He said to Ji Kong, "This penniless monk, Yuan Ji from the bitter Zen sect, please enlighten me." Yuan Ji was the successor disciple of Master Xuanji. In the bitter Zen sect, he could call the wind and summon the rain, so he was very proud. Moreover, not only was he proficient in Buddhism, but his cultivation was also very good. His talent was really shocking. He was already at the 3rd level of the blue Buddha lotus, and Ji Kong had just broken through to the 8th level of the black Buddha lotus. The difference was not just a little bit big. Therefore, Yuan Ji did not put Ji Kong in his eyes at all. Ji Kong had heard about Yuan Ji from a Master Lei yesterday. He knew that Yuan Ji's talent was amazing, so he had some fear in his heart even before he started to debate the scriptures. Yun Chujiu shook her head. Ji Kong would definitely lose this round. The brave would win when they met on a narrow path. Ji Kong had already lost in terms of momentum before he even started the competition. Sure enough, Ji Kong was defeated after 15 minutes. Although Ji Su had fought with Ji Kong before, their relationship was very good. When he saw that Ji Kong was defeated, he immediately went on the stage and wanted to avenge Ji Kong. "Sorry for the inconvenience." "Thank you very much." Unfortunately, he was not strong enough. After 15 minutes, he was defeated as well. 2 more Zen sect disciples went on stage in succession, but they also ended in defeat. Yuan Ji won 4 rounds in a row, and the arrogance on his face became even more apparent. If he won 1 more person, the winner of the scripture debate would be their bitter Zen sect. The Zen sect disciples of the Ji generation looked at each other. No one had the courage to go on stage. The reason was simple. If they lost this round, the Zen sect would lose. The responsibility was too great. They could not afford it. Moreover, Yuan Ji was not only proficient in Buddhist Dharma, but he also had an imposing manner. They knew that they were no match for him, so why should they go on the stage and embarrass themselves? Yuan Ji, who was on the stage, sneered when he saw that no one was going on the stage. Amitabha. Could it be that no one from the Zen sect is going to accept the challenge? If no one is going to accept the challenge, Master Defang, can this round be considered as my victory without a fight? At this moment, a clear voice rang out. Hold on. As the voice rang out, a young monk with delicate features leaped onto the stage. Master Liao's head buzzed. Why did this troublemaker go up? Did she know what scripture debate was? However, he thought about it again. Forget it. Other people would lose anyway. If she was willing to go up and jump around, then so be it. Yuan Ji had already met Yun Chujiu yesterday and snorted coldly. That's fine too. You and I are both personal disciples of the sect masters of the 2 sections. I also heard that your Buddhist skills are profound, so you can barely be considered as my opponent. Listen well. The heart, Buddha, and all living things are empty. You can debate now. Lonely little monk pressed his palms together. Amitabha. There's no rush, there's no rush. Allow this penniless monk to introduce himself. Yuan Ji, he thought that it was fine. If he allowed this penniless monk to introduce himself, it would be even more embarrassing. Therefore, Yuan Ji didn't say anything and acquiesced. The little monk immediately put his palms together and said to the crowd, "This penniless monk's dharma name is Lonely. I'm the last disciple of the sect leader of the Zen sect. I've been worshipping the Buddha at the 1000 Buddha cave of the Zen sect. It was because of the Buddha's enlightenment that I followed my master here." Chapter 5176, You have lost. There were many spectators below the stage. When they heard Yun Chuji's Dharma name, they immediately became excited. Oh my, that little monk's Dharma name is Loneliness? Is this a joke? This is the first time I've heard of such a Dharma name. Is there anything called emptiness in the Zen sect? However, this little monk is very comfortable to look at. He is just like the little boy under Guanyin Bodhisattva. Didn't he already say it? He has been worshipping Buddha in the 1000 Buddha cave of the Zen sect. Naturally, he is not tainted by dust. One look and you can tell that he is a pure-hearted person who practices Buddhism. Everyone was discussing animatedly. Some of them recalled what Yun Chujio said earlier about Buddha enlightening. They could not help but stretch their necks and shout, "Little Master Lonesome, what did Buddha enlighten you with?" Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. The little monk Lonesome, who had been standing silently on the stage, smiled faintly. Buddha said, "You cannot say it." The crowd was dazzled by the little lonely monk's smile. This little monk could only be considered delicate and pretty, but his smile warmed people's hearts. He was indeed a person with cultivation. Master Liaowu was a little dumbfounded at this moment. Was it because Yun Chujio had just said, "Closed door disciple"? When did he close the door? It was clearly open. His only stupid disciple, Ji Ping, had been killed by this troublemaker. Now, he was saying something about a closed-door disciple. Did he want him to have no successor? Yuan Ji, who was on the stage, heard the discussions of the crowd below the stage. He was rather displeased. This loan was just a bag of bones. His cultivation was so low that it was not even worth mentioning. What was there to praise? He urged him with slight dissatisfaction, "You have also finished your introduction. Can we begin the debate?" Lonely little monk faintly smiled again. "There's no rush, there's no rush. I was enlightened by Buddha, so I naturally want to save all living things. I'll take this opportunity to recite the Lotus Flower Sutra for everyone." After saying this much, lonely little monk took out a small wooden fish from his storage ring and sat cross-legged on the stage, reciting the scriptures. His voice was pure and clear, and his tone was gentle and compassionate. For a moment, the entire arena quieted down. Even Master Liaowu and the others, who were originally frustrated, seemed to have calmed down a little. Master Liaowu was puzzled. Did this troublemaker really have a wise root? She had only read Buddhist scriptures for a few days, but she actually had such attainments. In fact, he didn't know that the reason why it had such an effect was partly because Hei Shinjo was a drama queen. People all depended on their appearance. The lonely little monk that she disguised as could easily make people have a favorable impression of her. The other half was due to the Buddha's candle. No matter how weak the Buddha's candle was, it was still one of the 5 treasures of the Zen sect. Just by casually releasing a bit of Buddha power, it could make people feel at peace. Of course, there were also people who were not at peace, such as Yuan Ji. He was so angry that he was about to puke. This was the debate platform, not a place to recite scriptures. What was this lonely trying to do? Could it be that he was afraid of losing, so he had been stalling for time? The more Yuan Ji thought about it, the more he felt that this was the case. He snorted coldly and said, "Shut up. We are now competing in scripture debate, not reciting scriptures. If you feel that you are inferior to me, just admit defeat right now. Don't waste time here. Yun Shujio ignored him and continued reciting scriptures. Mu Yu knocked even more happily. Everyone was originally immersed in a peaceful state of mind, but Yuan Ji interrupted them all at once. As a result, many people glared at him angrily, thinking that he was really a petty person. Yuan Ji was so angry that he almost died. He shouted, "Lonesome, if you don't stop, I will let Master Da Feng announce my victory." Yun Shujio slowly put away the wooden fish and smiled faintly. "You lost." Chapter 5177 was still interesting about this lonely little monk. Yuan Ji couldn't believe his ears. This lonely little monk said that he had lost? What kind of joke was this? This lonely little monk didn't even say anything to refute. How could he have lost? Could this lonely little monk have a bad brain? The people below the stage were also baffled. This lonely little monk didn't look like a fool. Why did he say something stupid? Yuan Ji sneered, "Lonesome, even if you want to win, you can't do this, right? We haven't started the debate yet. Why did you say that I lost?" Yun Shujio smiled faintly and said, "Since everything is empty, where does your anger come from?" The sneer on Yuan Ji's face instantly froze. Previously, he had said that heart, Buddha, and all living things are empty. Everything was empty. How could he explain his anger now? Although many of the people below the stage did not know any Buddhist scriptures, they still understood this simple logic. Yuan Ji's own actions were already contrary to the point he had raised. Wasn't that a loss? It seemed that the lonely little monk's previous declaration of names and recitation of scriptures were not nonsense. They were used to force Yuan Ji to make mistakes. TSK, TSK. This was the first time they had seen such a debate. However, this debate was much more interesting than the previous one. They didn't understand what the monks said in the previous debate. They even wanted to sleep. This lonely little monk was the most interesting one. Yuan Ji was unwilling to lose just like that. After all, if they won this round, the bitter Zen sect would have won the debate. Therefore, he said with a cold face, "This doesn't count. There has never been a debate like this." Yun Shujio said lightly, "Emptiness is color, and color is emptiness. As long as you are proved wrong, the debate can naturally be done like this. In short, you lost." Yuan Ji looked at Yun Shujio's casual look and became more and more angry. However, there were no fixed rules for the debate in the Chongshao continent, and the rules did not explain it. He really could not do anything about Yun Shujio. At this moment, Yun Shujio looked at the crowd below the stage and said with a faint smile, "Almsgivers, do you think this penniless monk won or did he win?" The crowd immediately let out a noisy shout, "Young Master Lonely won." Not only did young Master Lonely win, but he also won skillfully. You shouldn't be so stubborn up there. That's right, what young Master Lonely said is simple and easy to understand. Even if we don't understand Buddhism, we can still see that he won. If you are willing to bet, you must admit defeat. Is that person trying to be a scoundrel? Yuan Ji was so angry that he almost died. He really did not understand why these people below the stage would speak up for Lonesome. Could it be that these people were from the Zen sect? Yuan Ji was really thinking too much. These people had nothing to do with Yun Shujio. What Yun Shujio grasped was the mentality of these people who liked to cause a ruckus. If she lost this round, then the debate would be over. The cultivation competition would be set for the next day. Wouldn't these people have nothing to watch? Moreover, they felt that this lonely little monk was different from ordinary monks. They also wanted to see what he would do next. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Moreover, the lonely little monk had read the scriptures for them for a long time in vain. They couldn't just listen to him for nothing, could they? Yuan Ji wanted to say more, but Master Xuanji had asked someone to replace him. Since things had come to this point, it was useless to say more. Yuan Ji clenched his fist and sneered at Yun Chuzhou. Let's talk about the strength of tomorrow's cultivation competition. Chapter 5178 Appearance is born from the heart. Hearing Yuan Ji's words, Yun Chuzhou still smiled faintly and did not speak. This made Yuan Ji even more flustered and exasperated, and the crowd booed. Yuan Ji was so angry that he almost died, but the law did not punish the crowd. He could not go down and bicker with those who were watching the show. He angrily returned to the bitter Zen sect stands. Yun Chuzhou did not pay attention to the new disciple of the bitter Zen sect. She took out the wooden fish again and began to recite the scriptures. The disciple of the bitter Zen sect held his anger in his heart. However, he thought about it and realized that he had not proposed a defense yet. He was not afraid of this lonely being cheated, so he said, "Lonely, stop reading for now. Let's begin the debate. If you continue to do as you wish, it means that you have admitted defeat." Hearing that, Yun Chuzhou smiled lightly and said, "How should I address you?" "This penniless monk, Yuan Tong." Yun Chuzhou thought to herself, Yuan Tong? And Shun Feng. Yuan Tong directly threw out his own debate topic. If there is a cause, there must be a phase. If there is a phase, it will mess up people's hearts. It's your turn. Everyone looked at Yun Chuzhou eagerly, wanting to hear how she would answer. However, she pointed at Yuan Tong's chest and did not say anything. Everyone looked confused. What did he mean by this? Yuan Tong wanted to question her, but when he remembered Yuan Ji's lesson, he softened his tone. What do you mean by this? Yun Chuzhou pointed at Yuan Tong's chest again and said, "You can't even understand this, and you still want to debate? You've lost, go down." Yuan Tong was so angry that he laughed. This lone had just pointed at his chest twice, and he lost? This lone was talking to himself too much, wasn't he? How did he lose? The people below the stage were also dumbfounded. What did he mean? How did that Yuan Tong lose? Yuan Tong said in a somewhat exasperated manner, "Lone, speak clearly. How did I lose?" Yun Chuzhou pressed her palms together and said slowly, "Life is created by oneself, and appearance is born from the heart. All things in the world are in the form of appearance. The heart does not move, all things do not move, the heart does not change, all things do not change. It is not the so-called appearance that disturbs the heart, but your heart is in turmoil. Since your heart is already in turmoil, do you still have the right to argue with me?" Although the audience below the stage did not understand Yun Chuzhou's tongue-twister-like words, they felt that it was pretty awesome, so they started to jeer. "Good. Well said. Well said. Little Master Lone has won." Yuan Tong was so angry that he almost died. What did these idiots know? Why were they shouting that Lone had won? These people must have been hired by the Zen sect. How insidious. However, to be honest, he really did not know how to refute Yun Chuzhou's words just now. He thought to himself, this Lone was indeed very proficient in Buddhist principles. Even if he tried to refute, he would still lose in the end. Since that was the case, he might as well just admit defeat. Hence, Yuan Tong took a deep breath. "I admit defeat." Yun Chuzhou heaved a sigh of relief when she heard Yuan Tong admit defeat. She had racked her brains just now to think of these few sentences. If this Yuan Tong continued to argue with her, she really did not know what to say next. "Sorry for the inconvenience." "Thank you very much." However, this fellow would not show it. He nodded at Yuan Tong. "Thank you for letting me win." Yuan Tong angrily walked down from the competition stage, hating Yun Chuzhou. The people of the bitter Zen sect were also indignant. This Lone was too crafty. At this time, another disciple of the bitter Zen sect stepped onto the competition stage. Before he could say anything, Yun Chuzhou said first, "It has always been your bitter Zen sect who brought up the topic of debate. It should be my turn this time, right?" That disciple nodded with a hint of arrogance. Sure. Chapter 5179, Yunchuji's debate topic. This disciple of the bitter Zen sect was called Yuanji. He believed that he was quite knowledgeable about Buddhist scriptures and felt that it was fine for Yunchujo to come up with the debate topic. Yunchujo smiled faintly at him. However, for some reason, Yuanji felt that there was some malicious intent in her smile. I said chicken first, it's your turn. Yuanji, everyone, what the hell? Did they hear wrongly? There was a chicken first? Was she planning to let Yuanji prove that there was an egg first? What kind of joke was this? This question was an endless paradox. How were they supposed to argue? If they said that there was an egg first, where did the egg come from? If they said that there was a chicken first, where did the chicken come from? However, Yuanji had to successfully refute the argument raised by that lonely little monk before he could win. It was obvious that he couldn't win. Moreover, he had never heard of anyone who had a chicken or an egg first. Yuanji finally understood why Yuanji and Yuan Tong were so angry. This lonely was too crafty. He looked innocent and harmless, but in fact, his heart was black. Yuanji's voice was slightly trembling as he said, "What kind of argument is this? Amitabha, what's wrong with this argument? This penniless monk thinks this argument is very interesting. You can start the argument now and don't waste time. Of course, you can also admit defeat directly." This penniless monk has no objections, Yunchujo said lightly. Yuanji gritted his teeth. Change the debate topic. This doesn't count. Yunchujo paused for a moment. That's fine. This penniless monk has always been kind to others. Then change the debate topic. The people of the Zen sect thought that Yunchujo was most likely stupid. She was clearly on the verge of victory, but she actually agreed to change the debate topic with Yuanji. If this wasn't stupid, then what was? Yuanji was delighted. He thought to himself, this lone doesn't seem to be that smart. Otherwise, why would he agree to change the debate topic? At this time, Yunchujo said lightly, however, it's only the third time. If this penniless monk changes the debate topic, you can't raise any more questions. Yuanji thought that as long as it wasn't a rogue question like the chicken getting the egg first, he wasn't afraid at all. So, he said with certainty, of course. Yunchujo smiled again. For some reason, Yuan Tong felt that her smile was a little strange. I said there was a goose first. It's your turn. Yuanji, everyone, this was too fucking mean. What difference did it make whether it was changed or not? According to what he said, it could be said that there was a duck first, a wild goose first, and an eagle first. Yuanji finally understood why Lone had said that he would not do anything more than 3 times. It turned out that he was waiting for him here. Yuanji was so angry that he was twitching. However, the people below who were watching the show felt that it was very interesting. One after another, they jeered, "Who's that? Argue." Little Master Lone said that there was a goose first, so why don't you just say that there was a goose egg first? That's right, hurry up and argue. We're all waiting. This is good. It's much more interesting than those impermanence and perception things from before. We don't understand those things, but we can understand this. Yuanji wished he could shut their mouths. What did these idiots know? However, he had already agreed not to change the topic and knew that he would lose in the end, so he gritted his teeth and said, "You win. Sorry for the inconvenience." "Thank you very much. Amitabha." Thank you. Yunchujo said lightly, as if she didn't care about winning or losing. Yunchujo won 3 people in a row. Master Xuanji and the others' faces turned ugly. If Lone won one more round, the situation would be a bit dangerous. Therefore, the next person on the stage was the key. Chapter 5181. Again at this time, a disciple of the bitter Zen sect stood up and said, "Let me meet him. This loan is just a little clever. It's not a big deal." The disciple who spoke was called Yuan Guang. He was Master Xian Hu's direct disciple and had an arrogant personality. When he saw Yuan Ji and the other two lose consecutively, he felt that it was a great opportunity for him to show off. Xian Ji wanted to stop them, but he understood Xian Hui. If he spoke out to stop them, he might be dissatisfied, so he did not say anything. Xian Hui had long disliked Yun Chuzhou and could not wait for her disciple to go up and vent her anger. Thus, she nodded and said, "That's fine too. You can go. Otherwise, he won't know the immensity of heaven and earth." Yuan Guang immediately jumped onto the competition stage with an arrogant expression. Before he could say anything, he heard Yun Chuzhou say, "I will still be the one to come up with the debate question this time. You don't have any objections, right?" Yuan Guang frowned. "Why should you come up with the debate question?" Yun Chuzhou said indifferently, "You have already come up with the debate question twice, and I have only come up with one, so I will still be the one to come up with the debate question this time." "Why? Don't you dare to accept the challenge?" Yuan Guang thought highly of himself and snorted coldly. "Fine, if you come up with it, then you come up with it. But you can't say that the chicken comes first and the egg comes first. Of course. What this penniless monk is saying now is a lie. It's your turn. Sorry for the inconvenience." "Thank you very much." Yuan Guang curled his lips. "Is there a need to argue? You already said that what you said was a lie, so naturally it's the truth." Yun Chuzhou smiled faintly. "The truth? If what I said is true, then I'm telling a lie. Then what you said is a lie. If what I said is a lie, then if I say that I'm telling a lie, then wouldn't that be the truth?" Yun Chuzhou laughed lightly. Yuan Guang was confused by her words. The more he thought about it, the more clueless he became. He had actually gotten himself involved in this. He was not the only one who was like this. The people who were watching the show were also like this. Some of them even started to argue. It was very noisy for a moment. Some people wondered why this lonely little master had brought up such tricky arguments. How did he think of it? Then they thought of what he said about being enlightened by Buddha. Could it be that Buddha told him all these questions? At this time, Yuan Guang was sweating profusely and his head was buzzing. The more he thought about it, the more confused he became. If it were not for the fact that there was no hair on his head, he would probably have plucked a few strands of hair. Yun Chuzhou was still as calm as ever. She said calmly, "You don't even know which point of view you should stick to. Do you still need to argue? You lost." Yuan Guang was angry and hateful, but he was confused by Yun Chuzhou's words. He gnashed his teeth and said, "Lonesome, good, very good. Well, see." Yun Chuzhou put her palms together. "Amitba. I'll see you out." Yuan Guang's expression became even more unsightly. He jumped off the competition stage and left. Master Liaowu saw that Yun Chuzhou had won 4 matches in a row. He instantly threw the anger that Yun Chuzhou had brought about by saying that she was a closed-door disciple to the back of his mind. Although this troublemaker's method was a little opportunistic, no matter what, it was good that he had won. As long as he won one more round, the victory of this round of scripture debate would belong to their Zen sect. Compared to the excitement of the Zen sect, the faces of the people of the bitter Zen sect were not as good, especially Xian Hui, whose face was so gloomy that it was frightening. He could have crushed that loneliness to death with one finger, but both he and his disciple had fallen on him. It was a great humiliation. Master Xuanji glanced at Xian Hu's expression and cursed a fool in his heart. However, the most important thing now was to defeat this loneliness, or else he would lose the scripture debate. Chapter 5181, Dead End. Master Xuanji frowned. This loan looked innocent and harmless, but he was very tricky. This round could not be lost. He had to find a countermeasure. At this time, a disciple with an aquiline nose stood up. He said, "Master, that loan has come up with 2 debate questions in succession. Next, it's our bitter Zen sect's turn to come up with a question. I just happen to have a debate question. I guarantee that this loan cannot answer it." Master Xuanji raised his eyebrows slightly and said in a deep voice, "Yuan Qing, please tell me about it." Yuan Qing walked to Master Xuanzi's side and whispered a few words. Master Xuanji nodded his head approvingly and said, "In that case, you can go on stage now." Yuan Qing went on stage with a smug look on his face. Yun Shijia's expression was the same as usual, but she thought to herself, as the saying goes, the person who comes is not kind. She must seize the opportunity. Thus, she said, "This penniless monk will come up with the debate questions this time." Yuan Qing snorted coldly. "You have already come up with 2 debate questions in succession. It should be our bitter Zen sect's turn. Most of the previous debate questions were produced by your bitter Zen sect. I only came up with 2. That's not too many, right?" Yun Shujio said indifferently. If it wasn't for the sake of maintaining the lonely little monk's innocent and harmless persona, this fellow would have long scolded Yuan Qing to the point of being shameless. Yuan Qing rolled his eyes. He knew that it was useless to argue with Yun Shujio, so he said, "You and I don't have to argue anymore. Let Master Defang decide." Yun Shujio sneered in her heart. That old monk Defang was definitely from the bitter Zen sect. He would definitely side with the bitter Zen sect. However, before she had the time to stop him, Master Defang said, "Although most of the previous arguments were put forward by the bitter Zen sect, there are 5 rounds in this round. The questions should be put out in turn. This round should be put out by the bitter Zen sect." Yun Shujio cursed the old monk in her heart, but she also knew that since Master Defang had spoken, there was no room for change. She said lightly, "Since Master Defang has said so, then you should give the questions." A smug look flashed in Yuan Qing's eyes. He stretched out his right hand and said, "This penniless monk has an inch-long mouse in his hand. Do you think it's alive or dead?" Inch-long rats, as the name implied, were only about an inch long. They were very small and exquisite. This kind of inch-long rat was not of a high grade. Its attack power was also very average, but it was good at grinding ink. Some people raised it as a spirit pet. Yuan Qing's words immediately caused a huge uproar. The people below the stage discussed animatedly, "This time, that little Master Lonely will definitely lose. The inch-long rat in Yuan Qing's hand must be alive. If Lonely Little Master said that the inch rat was alive, then Yuan Qing will squash that inch rat to death. Lonely Little Master will guess wrong. If Lonely Little Master says that the inch rat is dead, then Yuan Qing will not do anything. Lonely Little Master is still wrong. You're right. This question is very similar to the question that Lonely Little Master came up with previously. This time, Lonely Little Master will definitely lose. I really don't want young Master Lonely to lose. However, there's nothing I can do about it. This is a dead end. Sorry for the inconvenience." "Thank you very much." Master Liaowu and the others naturally guessed this point. They couldn't help but shake their heads and sigh. Everything was set in stone. Yun Shujio had relied on her cleverness to win 2 rounds before, but in the end, she was still returned. Yuan Qing's face was full of pride. He urged, "Lonely, don't dawdle anymore. Just admit defeat." Yun Shujio sighed, "I know. No matter if I say that the inch rat is dead or alive, it's a defeat." Yuan Qing said arrogantly, "It's good that you know. Since that's the case, are you admitting defeat?" Chapter 5182 Yun Shujio let out a long sigh again. "Yuan Qing, the outcome is in your hands, so I have no chance of winning. This debate is really unsolvable. However, as the saying goes, monks should be merciful. As the saying goes, sweeping the floor does not harm the lives of ants, but cherishes the moths and lanterns. I didn't expect that you would actually disregard the life of the inch rat in order to be competitive. This is really regrettable. Forget it. Although victory is precious, in this penniless monk's opinion, the life of that inch rat is even more precious. This penniless monk would rather lose this round than disregard the life of that inch rat. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Yuan Qing's face turned red from her words. He snorted coldly and said, "You're just pretending to be merciful. I originally didn't intend to kill this inch rat." As soon as he finished speaking, Yun Shujiu immediately said, "Oh? If that's the case, then I guess the inch rat is still alive." Yuan Qing, he was so angry that he almost fainted. He knew that he had been cheated. And it was the same kind of 10,000-year-old deep pit. If he killed the inch rat now, it would confirm his reputation of being ruthless and merciless, which would undoubtedly damage the reputation of the bitter Zen sect. But if he didn't kill the inch rat, wouldn't he lose this round? Unfortunately, that lone had said a lot of long-winded things before and didn't give a definite answer, so he couldn't say that Yun Shujiu had gone back on her word. Everyone below the stage was dumbstruck. Io, this little Master Lone was too smart, right? He could actually solve such a dead end? Someone jeered, "That's someone, you can't really be like what little Master Lone said, killing the inch rat in order to win, right? If that's the case, you're too vicious." That's right, a monk should not have come up with such a question. He even said that he was merciful. Stop joking. That crotch rat was also unlucky to be caught by Yuan Qing. He thought that he met a merciful monk, but in the end, he turned out to be a vicious person. Yuan Qing froze on the stage. For a moment, he didn't know what to do. He could only look at Master Xuanji for help. Amitabha. Yuan Qing, why are you looking at Master Xuanji? Will Master Xuanji order you to kill that crotch rat? If that's the case, even Buddha will punish you. Yun Shujiu put her palms together and said. Master Xuanji looked at Yun Shujiu with killing intent in his eyes, but it disappeared in an instant. Amitabha, what Yuan Qing did was indeed inappropriate. Evil creature, why don't you quickly release that inch rat? After the spiritual conference is over, we will deal with it according to the sect rules. Master Xuanji shouted at Yuan Qing sternly. Yuan Qing felt as if he had a dog in his heart. He had already informed Master Xuanji and received his approval, but now he was pushing the blame onto him. However, he also knew that he couldn't say anything now, so he opened his right hand and let the vole go. The vole raised its front paw and bowed to Yun Shujiu. Then, it jumped off the competition stage and jumped into Mount Buddha. Although Master Defang was unwilling, he could only brace himself and announce, Zen sect wins the scripture debate competition. Hearing this, Yun Shujiu revealed a faint smile on her face. She put her palms together and bowed to the crowd below the stage. Thank you, benefactors, for your help. Buddha will bless you all. Amitabha. When the crowd below the stage heard this, they immediately felt a warm feeling on their bodies. They thought to themselves, is this a blessing? Io, this little Master Lonesome is amazing. He actually said that and they received Buddha's blessing? This is too unbelievable. However, it's also true. His little Master Lonesome has always been worshipping Buddha at the Thousand Buddha Cave. Naturally, it's different. Chapter 5183, The Strange Hun Dun. Although the people of the Zen sect tried their best to control themselves, the smile on their faces still revealed their good mood at the moment. Master Liaowu looked at Yun Shujiu with an extremely amiable gaze. The way he called her disciple made He Xinjiu shiver. Of course, some people were happy while others were sad. The faces of the people of the Zen sect of bitterness were gloomy, especially the 5 people who were defeated by Yun Chuzhou. They wished they could strangle Yun Chuzhou to death. Although Master Xuanji was very angry in his heart, he still looked normal on the surface. After Master Liao Wu announced the end of today's competition, he specially came over to chat with Master Wu. Master Wu was in high spirits when it came to happy events, so he was happy to talk back to him. Therefore, the two of them chatted for a while. Before leaving, Master Xuanji glanced at Yun Chuzhou, who was standing behind Master Liao Wu. He didn't say anything, but his eyes were full of killing intent. Master Liao Wu frowned. After returning to his lodging, he said to Yun Chuzhou, "You don't have to go on stage for tomorrow's cultivation competition. Firstly, there will be a flaw if you go on stage without Buddhist power. Secondly, those people from the bitter Zen sect obviously hold a grudge against you. If you go on stage, it will be too dangerous." Yun Chuzhou nodded. She didn't intend to go on stage. Anyway, even if she lost the cultivation competition, there was still the array competition. It was better for her, a fake, not to go up and show off. On the other side, the people of the bitter Zen sect scolded little monk Lonely like a dog. They were nothing more than treacherous, shameless, and would do anything they could. Yuan Qing gnashed his teeth and said, "Make sure that Lonely goes on the stage tomorrow. Then, kill him." The others echoed him. They didn't believe that Lonely could resist not going on the stage if they scolded him harshly. As long as he stepped onto the stage, his pitiful cultivation wasn't enough. Anyone on the stage could kill him. Master Xuanji didn't stop the crowd's discussion. He also wished he could kill that little monk Lone. For some reason, he felt that the little monk Lone was a variable in this 10,000 Buddha Dharma assembly. It was better to kill him to avoid creating trouble. After Yun Chuzhou returned to her meditation room, Buddha's candle began to claim credit. "Today, it's all my credit. Whether it's your spiritual pets or spiritual weapons, who has more credit than me?" Yun Chuzhou smiled. "Your credit today is indeed the greatest. Your performance is not bad." When Buddha's candle heard this, he only felt that the entire candle was comfortable. To be able to receive this black-hearted person's praise was too fucking difficult. Just as Buddha's candle was feeling happy, Hun Dun snorted coldly, "Look at how smug you are. You only have a single hair on your entire body, yet you still have the face to boast? Shameless." Buddha's candle's breath almost twitched as he scolded, "Im shameless? Who is as shameless as you? Wearing a green hat all day long, it's really hilarious." When Hun Dun heard that, not only did he not suffer a blow, he was even more smug. "What does a bald lady like you know? If you want to live a good life, you must wear some green on your head." Pfft. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. The tea in Yun Chuzhou's mouth was immediately spat out. This Hun Dun was indeed different from the others. He actually did not feel ashamed, but instead felt proud. She was also convinced. Buddha's candle was obviously also shocked by this weirdo. It did not speak for quite a while. The main reason was that it did not know what to say. When Hun Dun saw that it did not say anything, he said smugly, "No female is worthy of my beauty, so there is no such thing as a cuckold." Chapter 5184 Tips. Buddha's candle was once again shocked by Hun Dun's words. Beauty in the prime of time? Oh God, how could a big meatball wearing a green sweater match beauty? Beauty in the prime of time, how blind was that? But it was also true that Hun Dun was originally blind. Being interrupted by Hun Dun, Buddha's candle was not in the mood to take credit. Seeing that they had all stopped, Yun Chuzhou was just about to eat something when Jesus' voice came from outside the meditation room. "Yun, dizzy, a little dizzy. Junior brother Lone, do you have any pills here?" Ji Su originally wanted to call out to benefactor Yun, but Ji Kong, who was beside him, glared at him. In a moment of panic, he came to his senses and said this. Yun Chuzhou could not help but laugh. She said indifferently, "Senior brothers, come in. I happen to have some pills here to treat dizziness." After the three of them met, Ji-soo grinned. Almsgiver Yun, who was at the edge of his mouth, was glared back at by Ji-kong. He said, "Junior brother Lone, you are really amazing today." Yun Shujo smiled and did not say anything. She felt that these two people did not come here just to praise her. There must be something going on. Sure enough, after Ji-soo praised her a few times, he scratched his head. Junior brother Lone, according to today's situation, most likely only those of the Ji generation have the qualifications to compete in tomorrow's competition. You know, although our cultivation is not bad, those of the Yuan generation of the Bitter Zen sect are older than us, and their cultivation is higher than ours. Please give us some advice. Senior brother is really uncertain. Yun Shujo raised her eyebrows slightly and asked, "Did Uncle Master Lei ask you to come here?" Ji Kong and Ji-soo were stunned immediately, and then said in embarrassment, "How do you know?" Yun Shujo pouted. Master Lei was the most calculative person. He must have been afraid that something would happen to his two treasured disciples when they stepped onto the stage, so he had instigated them to come and ask for help. However, Yun Shujo had a good relationship with Ji Kong and Ji-soo, so she was happy to help. Therefore, she gave them a pile of talismans and a few sacks of chili noodles and said a few words. Ji Kong and Ji-su's faces turned red. This is not very good. These methods are not very bright. It is not fair to win. Yun Shujo snorted coldly. It's up to you. Anyway, I have already given you a way out. Whether you use it or not is up to you. Also, do you think those people from the Bitter Zen sect will talk about being above board and above board? An eminent monk once said that being merciful to the enemy is a lack of wisdom. It's up to you. Ji Kong and Ji-soo looked at each other. How come they had never seen such a saying in the Buddhist scriptures? Chapter 5185 did not dare to accept the challenge. Master Defong went on stage and announced the rules of the second round of the Buddhist power competition. The competition was divided into 10 rounds, and the winner of the first 6 rounds would be the winner. This round of the competition was still restricted to only the roundward generation of the Bitter Zen sect and the silent generation of the Zen sect. The people of the Bitter Zen sect were full of confidence in this round of the competition. Their roundward generation disciples were much more powerful and experienced than the silent generation disciples of the Zen sect. This round of the Buddhist power competition was a sure win for the Bitter Zen sect. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. As soon as Master Defong finished reading the rules of the competition, Yuan Tong jumped onto the competition stage. His gaze fell on Yun Shujo and said with slight sarcasm, "This penniless monk, Yuan Tong of the Bitter Zen sect, challenges the loneliness of the Zen sect. Don't tell me you don't dare to accept the challenge?" Everyone's eyes were all focused on Yun Shujo, waiting for her answer. Yun Shujo put her palms together and said indifferently, "Monks don't lie. This penniless monk doesn't dare to accept the challenge." Yuan Tong, the crowd instantly exploded and discussed animatedly. TSK, this lonely monk is so cowardly. Isn't he afraid of losing the face of the Zen sect? He should accept the challenge even if it's for the face of the Zen sect. It's too embarrassing. What you said makes sense. That lonely is the true disciple of the Zen sect's sect master. It doesn't make sense for him to retreat without a fight. Of course, there were also people who disagreed. They said, "You can't say that. You know that you can't win, but you still went on stage. You will make the Zen sect lose a round. Why don't you just admit defeat and not go on stage?" That's right. Not everyone has the courage to admit that they are weak. This little monk Lone is really impressive. Yuan Tong almost died from anger on the stage. The words that he had prepared earlier were instantly useless. He thought that lonely monk would find all kinds of excuses to shirk off the stage and expose his lies one by one. However, he never expected that he would say it so bluntly. He didn't dare. Yuan Tong saw Yun Chujia's calm expression and became even angrier. He thought to himself that if he said something worse, he didn't believe that he would still refuse to go on stage. Therefore, he snorted coldly. "Lone, aren't you two useless? You don't even have the courage to step onto the stage." "Amitba, no." The lonely little monk put his palms together and said magnanimously. Yuan Tong clenched his teeth. "As the successor disciple of the sect leader of the Zen sect, you act like a coward. Don't you feel ashamed?" "Amitba, no." Lonely little monk said without any fluctuation in his tone. Yuan Tong couldn't believe his ears. He had already called him a coward, but this lonely could still keep his cool. Was this person too strong-willed or too thick-skinned? After all, Yuan Tong was a monk, so it was inappropriate for him to scold other unpleasant words. He said disdainfully, "Since your Chan sect's lone doesn't dare to accept the challenge, who will come up to the stage to compete? If no one dares to accept the challenge, then this round will be considered my victory." At this time, Yun Chujio said, "Wait, this penniless monk has an unknown matter. Can you give this penniless monk some answers?" Yuan Tong looked at Yun Chujio suspiciously and thought, could it be that this lone has thought it through? He wants to go up to the stage. Therefore, he said patiently, "Just tell me." Yun Chujio smiled faintly. "If someone gives me a gift, but I refuse, then how do you determine the ownership of this gift?" Yuan Tong curled his lips and snorted in disdain. "Is there a need to ask? Naturally, it belongs to the person who gave you the gift. As the saying goes, it belongs to the original owner." He had to end the battle as soon as possible. He gritted his teeth. No poison, no husband. There was no honor on this competition stage. Since this hope was seeking death, he would fulfill it. Thinking of this, Yuan Tong took out a black cylinder and hid it in his sleeve. Soon, he found an opportunity to fight with hope in close combat. He pressed the cylinder in his sleeve. Whoosh! 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 Several arrows shot out from the black cylinder. Hope was not prepared at all. In addition, he was too close and was hit by several arrows. However, it was a good thing that he dodged the vital parts. Although his injuries were very serious, he still managed to save his life. Pinhope swallowed a pill to stop the bleeding and angrily asked, "Yuan Tong, we are having a Buddha power competition. How can you hurt people with your arrows?" Yuan Tong laughed arrogantly and said, "Aren't you a little too naive? This is a competition stage. Naturally, it is based on one's own ability. Do you still need to rely on me for your own incompetence?" Hope's injuries were not light to begin with, so he directly spat out a mouthful of blood and fainted. Chapter 5187 Ji Kong's appearance on the stage. Hoping that he would faint, a Zen disciple immediately went up to the stage and carried him off the stage for treatment. Among the crowd of onlookers, someone recognized the black cylinder in Yuan Tong's hand and said in surprise, "That is the King of Hell's storm needle from the Qing family of the Valley of Fog. Its power is no small matter. It can be said to be a sharp weapon for a sneak attack. However, I heard that it takes a lot of time and effort to make the King of Hell's storm needle. The Qing family of the Valley of Fog rarely sells it to the public. I wonder where Yuan Tong got it from. No matter where he got it from, with this thing, his strength will increase a lot. What a good life. It's a pity for the hope of the Zen sect. If Yuan Tong didn't have the King of Hell's storm needle, he might not have been defeated." "You can't say that. Let's not talk about Yuan Tong anymore. Everyone on the stage is showing off their abilities. It's their ability to have treasures. Ji Kong and Ji Su had a complicated look on their faces. After listening to Yun Chujia's suggestion yesterday, they felt that it was a little immoral, so they hesitated whether they should do as she said. However, now that they saw that the people from the bitter Zen sect were not only immoral, they didn't have any morals at all. They had nothing to worry about. At this moment, Master Defang had already announced the result of the first round. Yuan Tong from the bitter Zen sect had won. Yuan Tong was very proud. The Zen sect is just a so-so. I advise you not to go on stage. Just admit defeat and don't embarrass yourselves. TSK, you actually accused this penniless monk of using the King of Hell's needle. This competition stage is not a game. Naturally, you have to give it your all. Your Zen sect is really pedantic. I see that your Zen sect's silent generation are all a bunch of idiots. It doesn't make any difference whether they come up or not. Not to mention our bitter Zen sect is full of talents, even I alone can beat you 6 rounds in a row. Yuan Tong was obviously a little too pleased with himself. He wanted to satisfy his mouth before going down. However, at this time, someone jumped onto the competition stage. Yuan Tong, this penniless monk, Ji Kong, will exchange moves with you. Yuan Tong was stunned and then sneered, "Are you a fool? I have already finished the competition. Our bitter Zen sect will send someone else to compete with you." Ji Kong said coldly, "You said before that one person was enough to defeat all the Ji generation of our Zen sect. Monks don't lie. Could it be that you were lying just now?" Yuan Tong said angrily, "I was just saying that." Ji Kong's face turned even colder. "Just saying that?" Chapter 5188 Ji's appearance on the stage. Yuan Tong's face was choked by the chili pepper, and his snot and tears flowed out. He was blasted by the talisman again. Although he used the Buddha's power to protect himself later on, his battle prowess was also greatly reduced. Ji Kong naturally would not give him a chance to catch his breath. The black Buddha lotus petals turned into arrows and shot towards him. "Sorry for the inconvenience." "Thank you very much." Yuan Tong dodged in an extremely sorry state and cursed angrily, "Ji Kong, you actually used such a despicable method. You are a monk in vain." Ji Kong sneered, "You are just giving him a taste of his own medicine. This is a competition stage, of course you have to do your best." Yuan Tong choked, but he did not know how to refute Ji Kong. He could only grit his teeth and continue to fight Ji Kong. His physical strength and Buddhist power had been greatly consumed by his previous hopes. Now that he was choked by the chili, coupled with his injuries from the talisman, how could he be Ji Kong's match? Yuan Tong wanted to use the King of Hell's storm needle, but Ji Kong didn't give him a chance to get close, so he couldn't do anything. After dozens of rounds, Yuan Tong was accidentally injured by Ji Kong's Buddhist energy. He screamed and fell off the stage. Yuan Tong's injuries weren't too severe. He got up on his own, but when he saw Master Xuanzi's expression, he was immediately filled with great fear. If he hadn't shouted on the stage and directly left the stage, he wouldn't have lost the second round. But now, the score had become 1-1. Master Xuanzi would definitely not let him off. In stark contrast, the people from the Zen sect. Although Ji Kong's method was somewhat special, no matter what, it was good that he won. After all, the people from the bitter Zen sect were the first to use dirty tricks. Ji Kong did not say anything. After Master Defang announced the results of the competition, he directly went down the competition stage. He knew his own limits. If he had not used the method that Yun Chuzhou had taught him, he might not have been able to win against Yuan Tong. Therefore, he decided to quit while he was ahead. Because Ji Kong had won one round, the disciples of the Zen sect were confident. Immediately, one of the disciples requested to fight and went up to the competition stage. However, there was a gap between the two sides. In the next 3 rounds, the Zen sect lost all of them, and the score became 4-1. Master Liaowu had expected this, so he was not too disappointed. It was okay to lose, since there was still the third round. In the sixth round, the bitter Zen sect sent Xian Hu's disciple, Yuan Guang, up to the stage. Yuan Guang was confused by Yun Chujia's words of truth and falsehood. It was extremely embarrassing. Therefore, as soon as he got on the stage, he shouted, "Lonesome, if you still have some guts, come up and compete with me. Otherwise, you're a coward." Yun Chujio still looked innocent and harmless. She put her palms together and said lightly, "This penniless monk doesn't have the guts. You'd better find someone else." Yuan Guang curled his lips. "Are you still a man? You don't even have the courage to go on the stage. What a joke. Don't talk to me about returning things to the original owner. Those are just excuses. You are a coward, Lonesome. Your Zen sect is a bunch of cowards, a bunch of trash." Yun Chujio did not care about these words at all. She had heard worse words before, and they were nothing at all. However, the other members of the Zen sect were different. The Zen sect was one of the top forces in the Chongshao continent. Wherever they went, they were flattered and flattered. How could they stand such provocations and curses? Ji Su could not stand it anymore and jumped onto the competition stage. Yun Chujio frowned. Ji Su was really impatient. Fortunately, she had taught him 2 moves earlier. She hoped that this little fool would not be at a disadvantage. Chapter 5189. A good monk does not suffer losses in front of his eyes. Yuan Guang sized up Ji Su with a look of disdain. He was at the second level of the Blue Buddha Lotus. Among the Yuan generation of the bitter Zen sect, he was second only to Master Zuanzi's successor, Yuan Ji. Ji Su had just broken through to the 8th level of the Black Buddha Lotus. The gap between them was huge. "Since you came up to die, don't blame me for being ruthless. Take this," Yuan Guang said as he released a blue Buddha lotus. Who knew that just as he released half of the blue lotus, Ji Su threw a big sack at him. The moment he threw the sack, Yuan Guang used his Buddhist power to protect himself. Therefore, the chili that spread out from the sack did not have much of an effect on him. Even though Ji Su threw a lot of talismans over later, he only forced Yuan Guang to take a few steps back. It did not cause much of an effect on him. At this moment, Yuan Guang's cultivation base was much higher than Yuan Tong's, and Yuan Guang was prepared for this. Yuan Guang sneered, "It's okay to use such trivial tricks once, but you want to use them a second time? I'm not an idiot like Yuan Tong. These things are useless to me." Yuan Tong tightened his hands under his sleeves when he heard that, but he didn't dare to show any dissatisfaction. He was a sinner in the bitter Zen sect now. How could he dare to offend others? Hei Xinjiu, who was sitting behind Master Liaowu, couldn't bear to look at Ji Su. Was Ji Su stupid? Ji Kong had already used this trick once. You can use it if you want, but you have to be flexible, right? Don't copy the exact same trick. She was so worried. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Ji Su couldn't help but panic when he saw that his sneak attack didn't succeed, but he couldn't leave the stage just like that, so he fought with Yuan Guang. However, the difference in strength between him and Yuan Guang was not ordinary, so how could he be a match for Yuan Guang? He was forced to retreat continuously, looking very pathetic. If it was in the past, Ji Su would definitely hold on. Even if he knew that he might die, he would not leave the stage for the sake of the reputation of the Zen sect. However, he was now different. What a joke! That female devil had told him that a good monk would not be at a disadvantage in front of him. If he could not beat her, he would run away. Only a fool would be waiting to die. Moreover, the female devil had said that there was no need to admit defeat or anything like that. He could just run away. Otherwise, the other party might take advantage of him admitting defeat and suddenly attack. If that was the case, it would be extremely tragic. Thinking of this, Ji-Su found an opportunity and directly jumped down from the competition stage. After landing on the ground, he said, "I've lost." Everyone was dumbfounded. This Ji-Su was really thick-skinned. Master Lei nodded. He felt that not only was his disciple right, he had done the right thing. It was obvious that Yuan Guang was not a broad-minded person. If Ji-Su admitted defeat on the stage, he might secretly make a move. At this moment, no one expected that Yuan Guang, who was on the stage, would actually raise his hand towards Ji-Su. Several arrows flew towards Ji-Su's back. Ji-Su was already a little dispirited after losing the competition. Moreover, he felt that since he had already jumped off the stage, Yuan Guang would definitely not attack him again, so he was not prepared at all. The competition stage was a distance away from the surrounding stands. Therefore, even if a Master Lei and the others noticed Yuan Guang's actions, they did not have the time to save Ji-Su. They did not even have the time to warn him. Yun Shijia's pupils shrank. She did not care too much and had the little black bird curse Ji-Su immediately. Chapter 5190. You're a fake. Just as everyone thought Ji-Su was dead for sure, Ji-Su suddenly staggered and miraculously dodged most of the arrows. Only a few arrows hit his butt. Yuan Guang, who was on the stage, was secretly resentful. However, every time the King of Hell's Storm Needle fired, it had to reload the arrows, so he could only give up. Moreover, Master Lei had already jumped off the stage, so he had no chance to attack again. Master Lei first checked Ji-Su's injuries, then looked at Yuan Guang sharply. Ji-Su still admitted defeat. Why do you still want to stab him in the back? Yuan Guang snorted coldly. He didn't admit defeat on the stage, so it doesn't count. Yuan Guang didn't put Master Lei in his eyes at all. He didn't believe that this old thing would still dare to go on stage and compete with him. If this old thing dared to go on stage, his master wouldn't just stand by and watch. Anyway, he wouldn't be at a disadvantage. Master Lei was extremely angry. This Yuan Guang was trying to twist logic. Not to mention Ji-Su had already admitted defeat verbally. Even if he hadn't said that he would admit defeat, he had already left the stage and already lost. That Yuan Guang had absolutely no reason to sneak attack. Master Lei was about to refute, but he did not expect Xian Hui to jump over arrogantly. Master Lei, what right do you have to lecture my disciple? Your disciple is useless and deserves to be beaten. If you want to blame someone, blame yourself for not teaching him well as a master. Master Lei was so angry that he was speechless. No wonder that Yuan Guang was so shameless. It turned out that the upper beam was not upright and the lower beam was crooked. Master Lei suppressed his anger and said, Ji-Su has already left the competition stage. Yuan Guang shouldn't have hurt him. You have to give me an explanation, or else what? Master Lei, the score in this round is already 5-1. If your Zen sect can't afford to lose, then you say you can't afford to lose. How dare you play a scoundrel? This is really an eye-opener for this old monk. Xian Hui said sarcastically. Master Lei's temper had always been good, but at this moment, he was also furious. This Xian Hui was simply unreasonable. He actually said it wasn't reasonable. This was simply outrageous. The other Zen sect members were also furious. This Xian Hui and Yuan Guang were really too shameless. Master Liao's face was very cold. If he backed down now, not only would the world laugh at him, but it would also chill the hearts of the Zen sect disciples. If the bitter Zen sect didn't give a satisfactory explanation, then there was no need for the 10,000 Buddha Dharma assembly to continue. Sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much. Just as Master Liaowu was about to stand up and negotiate with Master Xuanji, he heard someone behind him say faintly, "Master, I will go up and meet that Yuan Guang." Master Liaowu was stunned. He turned his head and looked at the person who spoke with an unquestionable gaze. "Lonesome, what did you say?" Yun Shijia's expression was no different from usual. However, if one were to look closely, one would discover that her eyes were filled with killing intent. "Master, I said that I will go up and meet that Yuan Guang." Since he made a move on the competition stage, then let's settle the matter on the competition stage. Master Liaowu felt that Yun Shuzhou was most likely crazy. "What's wrong with you? Don't you have any points? You're a fake. You don't even have Buddha energy, yet you still want to go up and take care of Yuan Guang? Aren't you courting death?" Moreover, Master Liaowu felt that even if Yun Shuzhou took the risk of exposing her flaws, she was still no match for Yuan Guang. Yun Shuzhou had suffered another lightning strike at Mount Meru previously, and her spiritual power had also broken through from the 5th level to the 8th level of the extreme spiritual realm, which was equivalent to the 8th level of the Black Buddha Lotus, similar to Ji Su. Chapter 5191, Literary Battle or Martial Battle. Master Liaowu originally wanted to reject her directly, but when he saw the killing intent in Yun Shijia's eyes, he swallowed the words that were about to come out of his mouth and asked, "Master Liaowu, what do you think? Have you thought it through? You must know that if anything goes wrong, the consequences will be very serious." Master Liaowu's words were very reserved, but Yun Shuzhou naturally understood that he was worried about her identity being exposed. She curled the corners of her lips slightly. "Master, don't worry. Your disciple has his own plans." Master Liaowu hesitated for a moment, but when he saw the arrogant manner of Xian Hui and her disciple, he gritted his teeth and decided to take a gamble. Since this Yun Shuzhou could even take care of the jade glass Bodhi tree and Buddha's candle, she should be able to do it this time too, right? Seeing that Master Liaowu didn't say anything, Yun Shuzhou knew that he had tacitly agreed. Only then did she slowly walk to the bottom of the competition stage and said to a Master Li, "Martial uncle, please bring senior brother Ji Su over to heal his injuries first. Leave this place to me." Master Li did not know what Yun Shuzhou was up to, but he knew that Yun Shuzhou was full of evil thoughts, so he nodded and glanced sharply at Yuan Guang and Xian Hui. Then, he helped Ji Su, who had a few arrows in his butt, back to the stands. Yun Shuzhou did not pay attention to Xian Hui, but looked at Yuan Guang on the stage. "Yuan Guang, didn't you challenge me before? I wonder if you still have the guts to fight me now?" Yuan Guang pursed his lips and snorted, "Why wouldn't I dare? But, you're finally willing to go on stage. TSK, why aren't you afraid of death now?" Yun Shuzhou put her palms together and said calmly, "It's just that the time hasn't come." Yuan Guang was stunned. "Time hasn't come? What time?" "Guess," Yun Shuzhou said calmly. Yuan Guang was so angry that he choked. He said angrily, "Cut the crap and get on the stage." "Of course I have to get on the stage, but let's make a deal. If I win this round, your bitter Zen sect can't say that this round doesn't count," Yun Shuzhou said lightly. Yuan Guang snorted. "Of course." Yun Shuzhou looked at Master Xuanji. "Master Xuanji, what do you think?" Master Xuanji thought that lonesome might be a variable in this 10,000 Buddha Dharma assembly. He could use this opportunity to let Yuan Guang kill him so that there wouldn't be any more trouble. He didn't consider the fact that Yuan Guang couldn't defeat Yun Shuzhou at all. After all, to outsiders, Yun Shuzhou was only at the 9th level of the yellow Buddha lotus. She wasn't even a black Buddha lotus. Hence, Master Xuanji nodded his head and said, "This round naturally counts." Yun Shuzhou curled her lips slightly and said, with Master Zuanzi's words, "I am relieved." After Yun Shuzhou finished speaking, she tiptoed and leaped onto the competition stage lightly. As she was currently disguised as the innocent and harmless little monk Lonely, her appearance was extremely deceptive. The people below the stage could not help but sweat for her. Someone shouted, "Little Master Lonely, you have to be careful. Don't be ambushed by him with the King of Hell's needle. Little Master Lonely, you can't let your guard down. He's a sinister person, so don't be careless. Little Master Lonely, if you can't beat him, hurry up and get off the stage. You have to hurry up and run so that you won't be schemed against by shameless people." Yuan Guang was so angry that he almost choked. These damn idiots were actually all speaking up for Lonesome. Could they all be the scapegoats that Lonesome hired? "Amitba, are we going to fight or fight?" Yun Chuzhou asked calmly. Yuan Guang frowned. "How are we going to fight and how are we going to fight?" Chapter 5192, when Do Yun Chuzhou smiled faintly. Martial arts is the same as before. If we fight directly, it will be time-consuming, laborious, and uncivilized. As for Wendo, it's very simple. I've heard that the purer the Buddhist energy, the more lifelike the lotus it condenses. Well, compete to see whose lotus is more lifelike. Of course, I won't force you. You can choose either. I guess you can only choose martial arts. After all, it's obvious that you're an uneducated person. You can't even tell the truth from the lies. Yuan Guang frowned. From his heart, he naturally wanted to choose martial arts. After all, his cultivation level was much higher than Yun Chuzhou's. He could easily kill Yun Chuzhou. However, he had lost to Yun Chuzhou during the debate. This was a great humiliation. If he didn't agree to the debate, wouldn't it make people think that he had no knowledge? He thought about it again. This loan was only at the 9th stage of the yellow Buddha lotus realm. The Buddha lotus he condensed would definitely not be as realistic as his, so there was no harm in agreeing to him. Moreover, after he won, he would find an opportunity to plot against him. Presumably, this loan would not be able to avoid it. He made up his mind and sneered, "All right, then we will carry out the literary competition." Yun Chuzhou nodded and then said to Master Dafang, "Master Dafang, please let the leaders of both sides confirm it. If I win later, someone will raise a question." Master Dafang immediately asked for the opinions of Master Xuanji and Master Liaowu, and the two didn't have any objections. Yuan Guang impatiently urged, "Can it be done now?" "All right, let's begin," Yun Chuzhou said lightly. Yuan Guang curled his lips in disdain, and then began to release his Buddhist power to condense the Buddha lotus. Very soon, a huge blue Buddha lotus appeared on the stage. This blue Buddha lotus was several times more realistic than the one that Yuan Guang had released during the previous competition. If the crowd did not know that this was the manifestation of Buddhist power, they would probably really think that this was a real lotus. Yuan Guang was very proud, especially when he noticed that Yun Chuzhou had not made a move. He felt that Yun Chuzhou must have been timid and did not even have the courage to release the lotus flower. He snorted coldly, "Lone, why haven't you released your lotus flower yet? Did you give up because you felt that you were no match for me?" "Amitba, don't be anxious. This penniless monk is just brewing," Yun Chuzhou said calmly with her palms together. The look on Yuan Guang's face became even more contemptuous. The lower the cultivation, the slower the speed at which the Buddha energy was released. This loan was really not an ordinary good-for-nothing. Below the stage, Master Liao's heart was in his throat. He thought to himself, "She is just a fake. Let alone Buddha lotus, she doesn't even have the slightest bit of Buddha energy. Is she stupid? She actually brought up such a competition content. She is simply digging a hole for herself." The surrounding spectators also revealed a look of understanding. It seemed that this lonely little monk was prepared to retreat in the face of difficulties. He was also a fool. Since he clearly knew that his strength was insufficient, why did he go on stage? Why did he still propose such a competition method like the literary competition? Wasn't this asking for humiliation? Yuan Guang, who was on the competition stage, was already somewhat impatient. He urged, "Lonely, this competition has a time limit. If you still don't release the Buddha lotus, you will lose." He calculated in his heart that once Master Defang announced the result of the competition, he would take advantage of Lonesome's carelessness to trigger the King of Hell's storm needle to take his life. At this moment, Yun Shujiao said indifferently, "Are your eyes not good? I've already released the lotus." Chapter 5193, Have you seen the lotus? As soon as Yun Shijia's words left her mouth, not to mention Yuan Guang, even the people below the stage were dumbfounded. Released? Where? Why didn't they see it? Of course, in order to avoid being told that their eyes were not working properly, everyone tried their best to widen their eyes, but they still did not see anything. Yuan Guang also looked carefully, but he did not see the lotus that Yun Shujiao mentioned. He could not help but sneer, "Lonesome, is there something wrong with your brain? Where is your lotus?" Yun Shujiao pressed her palms together. As her sleeves fluttered, Yuan Guang smelled the fragrance of a lotus. To be exact, although the smell was the fragrance of a lotus, it seemed to be different from ordinary lotuses. It was longer and longer, even calming people's minds. Not only did Yuan Guang smell the fragrance of the lotus, but everyone below the stage also smelled the faint fragrance of the lotus. After feeling that the fragrance of the lotus could calm one's mind, everyone could not help but take a few deep breaths. At this moment, Yun Shujiao put her palms together and said calmly, "When the Buddha lotus is realistic to the extreme, it will transcend the limitations of the secular world. Therefore, some people might not be able to see it. Of course, if one has the wisdom root, they would still be able to see it. Moreover, the Buddha lotus that everyone can see is different. It all depends on one's own luck. However, the fragrance of the lotus cannot be faked. Everyone, who do you think released the lotus that is more realistic?" Everyone was a little confused by her words. No one was willing to admit that they did not have a wisdom root, so someone shouted, "Ah, I saw it. This lotus is indeed 10,000 times more realistic than that person. Even the stamen is very realistic." Once someone took the lead, someone immediately said, "I saw it too. The lotus that I saw is not only realistic but also twice as big as that person's. It's really too realistic." "Yes, I saw it too. And me." When Yuan Guang heard everyone's words, he was so angry that he started to twitch. Where was it? Why didn't he see it? Could it be that he did not have a wisdom root? No. This lone must be spouting nonsense. He did not release anything at all. However, the lotus fragrance was very strange. Could it be that she had concocted the medicine? The more Yuan Guang thought about it, the more he felt that it was the case. He shouted, "Shut up. Lonesome, stop being so mysterious. You didn't release anything at all." Yun Shujiao shook her head. "Yuan Guang, it seems that you don't have any intelligence at all. No wonder you can't even tell if it's true or not. If this penniless monk is lying, then why did everyone below the stage see it? And they smelled the fragrance of the lotus?" Yuan Guang cursed angrily, "That's because they're all stupid. A bunch of idiots. They were all fooled by you." Once Yuan Guang's words left his mouth, everyone below the stage couldn't take it anymore. "Damn it, who are you calling stupid? You're the one who's stupid. Even your hair is stupid. Oh right, you don't have any hair at all, ha ha ha. That's right, don't be a monk if you don't have wisdom root. How embarrassing. Even us secular people can see it, but you can't see it. You're simply blind." He even plotted against that Zen sect disciple just now. It's simply immoral. Naturally, Buddha doesn't like him. It would be strange if he could see the Buddha lotus. Yuan Guang's breathing was ragged, but the law didn't punish the masses. He was momentarily stunned. At this time, Master Defang said, Amitba, Lonesome, we're currently competing. You have to let most people see the Buddha lotus. You just said that when the Buddha lotus is realistic to the extreme, it will transcend the limits of the secular world. Then, please reduce the degree of the Buddha lotus. Chapter 5194 The herd mentality. Yuan Guang's eyes lit up when he heard Master Defang's words. He shouted, Lonesome, Master Defang is right. You must let most people see the lotus. Otherwise, it doesn't count. Yun Shujiao ignored him when she heard that. She looked at Master Defang and smiled without saying anything. Although her smile was innocent and harmless, it made Master Defang panic. Just when Master Defang was panicking, he heard Yun Shujiao ask with a smile, Master Defang, did you see the Buddha lotus? Master Defang's pupils constricted. Of course, he didn't see it. However, if he said he didn't see it, didn't it mean that he had no wisdom root? Where would his face be? If he said he saw it, it would be very disadvantageous to the bitter Zen sect and Yuan Guang. Seriously, he was worried to death. At this time, Yuan Guang shouted, Master Defang, you didn't see it either, did you? This lone is deliberately mystifying things. In fact, he didn't release the Buddha lotus at all. The fragrance of the lotus must have been forged by him using medicinal pills. Master Defang was in a dilemma, so he simply didn't say anything. However, Yuan Guang didn't give up and continued to ask, Master Defang, say something. Did you not see it either? Master Defang wished he could shut his mouth. What an idiot. Fortunately, he thought of an excuse and said, Lonesome, it doesn't matter if I saw it or not. The key is that you have to let the majority of the people present see it. Yun Shujiao nodded and looked at the crowd. Not everyone has a wisdom root, so it's not strange that some people can't see lotus. Which one of you didn't see lotus? Raise her hand. The crowd below the competition stage looked at each other. No one wanted to admit that they didn't have a wisdom root, so only a few people raised their hands. Yuan Guang saw this and shouted angrily, Why didn't you raise your hands? You clearly didn't see anything. Don't tell me you really believe the words of a wisdom root? You're really stupid, to actually be fooled by this lonely lie. Some people were still hesitating, but after hearing Yuan Guang's words, they immediately gave up the idea of raising their hands. Who the fuck is stupid? You are the most stupid. Master Defang was speechless. Who is this Yuan Guang? Yun Shujiao curled the corners of her mouth slightly. People have vanity and herd mentality. Although she didn't see anything, she was unwilling to admit it. Master Defang, did you see it? Most of the people had seen the lotus. Moreover, the lotus released by this penniless monk was not only extremely realistic, but also fragrant. It was clear who won and who lost at a glance. Can you announce the result of the competition? Master Defang's face was a little stiff. Except for the people from the bitter Zen sect who raised their hands, everyone else had basically tacitly acknowledged that they had seen the lotus. Could it be that this lone had really released the lotus? The reason why he did not see it was because he did not have a wisdom root? Just as he was about to announce the results of the competition, Xian Hui said angrily, Our bitter Zen sect did not see a single person. Could it be that the people from our bitter Zen sect do not have a wisdom root? Lone did not release anything. His little trick can only make an ignorant fool. Therefore, the winner of this competition should be Yuan Guang. The spectators, who were called idiots, were naturally not happy. They immediately began to clamor in dissatisfaction. Seeing this, Xian Hui shouted, All of you shut up, or don't blame this old monk for being impolite. Xian Hui's shout contained Buddhist power. As a result, it shocked everyone until their scalps went numb. Everyone was embarrassed and did not say a word. Chapter 5195 Buddha Yuan Guang had Xian Hui's support, so he immediately felt confident. He sneered at Yun Chujio and said, "Lonesome, you heard it, right? Your little tricks are useless. You're the one who lost." Seeing that the people of the bitter Zen sect admitted that they didn't see Buddha Lotus, Master Defang also echoed, "That's right. I didn't see Buddha Lotus either. Lonesome, you can't count this." Master Liaowu and the others wanted to object, but they did not see it. Not raising their hands just now had already reached the bottom line of their morals. Now, they could not open their eyes and lie. Only Ji Su covered his butt and shouted, "Nonsense. I saw Buddha Lotus, and it was golden." He hated Yuan Guang and the Zen of bitterness to death. If he had not stumbled and fell, it would not only be an injury to his butt, but also his life. Right now, he didn't care about the commandment of monks not to lie. He wished he could just kill Yuan Guang. Yuan Guang said disdainfully, "Golden? What a joke. Golden Lotus is a legendary existence. Don't tell me you think yellow is golden. Besides, loneliness didn't release anything at all. How could you see it? Did you hallucinate after being hurt by me?" Ha ha ha. Ji Su had just mentioned the Golden Lotus as a passing remark. Now that Yuan Guang had rebuked him, he couldn't help but be angry and didn't know how to retort. At this moment, Yun Chujio said calmly, "Yuan Guang, don't be so full of yourself. If it really is the Golden Lotus, what will you do?" Yuan Guang was stunned at first, then he laughed out loud, "Lonesome, are you talking nonsense? If you can release the Golden Lotus, I will be at your disposal. I have no objections." Yun Chujio raised her eyebrows slightly, "Are you serious?" "Of course I am," Yuan Guang said casually. The reason why he was so sure was that even Master Xuanji was only at the 6th level of the Red Lotus. Even Master Xuanji could not release the Golden Lotus, let alone Lonesome. Yun Chujio smiled faintly. "Not only can this penniless monk release the Golden Lotus, but I can also turn it into a physical object." Yuan Guang laughed even more savagely when he heard that. "Lonesome, it seems that you are seriously ill. Your Buddha energy cannot turn into a physical object at all. Furthermore, do you know that the Buddha Lotus, as the only Buddha plant in the world, has long been extinct? If you can turn it into a physical object, you must be Buddha." Yun Chujio pressed her palms together. "Amitabha. Although this penniless monk is not the Buddha, I am the reincarnation of a Buddha." As soon as Yun Chujio said that, Master Liaowu almost jumped up from his seat. This troublemaker really dared to say that. Buddha? She was not even a monk, okay? The people of the Zen sect basically knew Yun Chujio's identity, so they were all shocked. Ji Su was so shocked that he sat on the ground and cried out in pain. The audience below the stage was stunned at first, then they started to talk about it. "Did I hear wrong? Little Master Lonely said that he is the reincarnation of the Buddha? Is he kidding? Is this possible? How is it not possible? Little Master Lonely looks different from ordinary people, especially that pure and harmless temperament. I think it's more or less the same. You're judging people by their looks. The reincarnation of the son of Buddha is not just talk. He has to show proof." Because he had read the records of the lotus in the ancient books. The lotus in Yun Chujio's hand was exactly the same as the one in the records. Moreover, the fragrance of concentration and tranquility could not be faked. Master Defang could not help but move closer and stared at the lotus in Yun Chujio's hand. "Lotus, this is indeed a lotus. Amitabha, I actually saw a lotus in my lifetime. It is really the blessing of Buddha." Yun Chujio smiled slightly and actually handed the lotus flower in her hand to Master Defang. "Master Defang, take a good look. Don't mistake it for something else." Master Defong received it in fear and trepidation. Then, he stared at it without blinking. His face was full of infatuation. You're tuning into the Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.